just after 7 o'clock on the 14th of May, and it has been a busy day here inside the vault. It's been a busy day when it comes to Ravens coverage, and that busyness will continue into tonight for the NFL's annual schedule release show. That's going to be on NFL Network in about 45 minutes from right now. We will be live with you, instantly reacting to the dates and times to all the games, home and away, coming up for this upcoming regular season for your 2025 Baltimore Ravens. Tonight's live stream is presented by our friends at Be More Around Town. It is the premier road trip company in Baltimore. They bring you premier travel, okay? They give you a fantastic fan experience on the road. I can vouch, having done it firsthand with them this past, January in Buffalo. Prior to that, I was on the road with them in London. And of course, I've done every single home game with them, tailgate live streaming wise, over the last several seasons. So Brian Snyder and his crew at Be More Around Town are fantastic. And you can place your purple road trip deposit tonight, right now, by clicking on the link that we have in a couple different places. At the top of the show notes is one. And of course, the second spot is right there in the live chat as a pinned comment. You can learn everything. Check it out. Their trips include round-trip airfare, premium hotel accommodations, airport and game day transportation, all-inclusive Ravens fan parties all weekend long, the all-inclusive purple tailgate, game tickets, of course, special guests that come along the way and typically are on my show at home game tailgates, and many more. So there is so much to get involved in. I'll tell you about the road trip destinations in just a bit. And of course, a lot of tonight will be all about the schedule release. But first, and Sarah Ellison will be joining me in a short while, as will Brian McFarland, Ravens salary cap analyst, so we can talk about the task at hand that was a pre-schedule release gift, if you will. And that came in the form of Derrick Henry's extension. That's what we learned, and that's what's now confirmed. The Ravens awarded Derrick with a 2-year, $30 million extension that includes $25 million fully guaranteed over the next 2 seasons. Todd France of Athletes First was the representative of Derrick, and it is now the largest deal in NFL history for a running back over 30 years old. This is a commitment to Derrick Henry, who is over 30. Like we mentioned, last year was his age 30 season. And oh, by the way, he just put up over 1,900 rushing yards, 16 rushing touchdowns, played in all 17 games, totaled it for 5.9 per carry, and was a complete and utter explosive weapon within the confines of Todd Monken's offense alongside Lamar Jackson. So this is a commitment, of course, to Derrick through 2027. This is an investment in Derrick Henry, which now makes him, in terms of average annual value, the third highest paid running back when it comes to value and what he brings to the table league-wide. That's behind Saquon Barkley in Philly and Christian McCaffrey, of course, in San Francisco. So, look, was this a surprise? No, this was clearly something that was a priority all offseason long. Perhaps Saquon's extension in Philly that he was awarded after they won the Super Bowl muddied the water or delayed things a little bit, but it's done now. A significant domino has fallen for the Ravens, and now King Henry, along with many other pieces when it comes to their core on both sides of the football, particularly offensively, is intact. The core is intact, and now they get to chase after it yet again within this window right now of opportunity when it comes to that elusive, coveted Lombardi trophy. And there it is, again, confirmed by the team from Ravens Productions with the attached graphic that they have agreed to terms. And number 22 will be in Baltimore's backfield through at least the 2027 season. And maybe, just maybe, there's a conversation to be had. Will that take him to retirement? Will he get a ring, earn a ring, win a ring over the next couple of years? And if he does indeed do that, will he be retiring after the 2027 season? That's a conversation for another time. But on the other side of 30, to be playing with this level of tenacity, this level of efficiency, this level of explosiveness, we'll get into the numbers in just a bit, is nothing short of exceptional. He is one of one. He is an outlier, and that's what the Ravens are committing to. That's what they're investing in. That's what they're buying into. They're betting on Derrick's longevity. They're betting on Derrick's professionalism, his durability, and everything else that he's showcased during his lone season in Baltimore. It's hard to believe that it's only been 1 year since the King became a Raven. And here he is talking to you, the flock, earlier once this thing became official. Flock with a bunch of emojis. God is good. Ravens, I'm appreciative and grateful for everyone a part of this great organization, and a big shout out to all my teammates to be able to make this possible. Thank you, Flock Nation, for always supporting, working as hard as I can to be able to contribute to us holding up that trophy when it's all said and done. Love 22. That from the King. And I can't help but think about an interview that he did within the last year or so with Mark Ingram, his Fox Sports podcast. And he had this to say about his overall longevity, where he's going, how he's doing this at 30 plus years of age, almost an ascending running back. You know, I love that phrase. He is an ascending running back at this point in his career, and that certainly makes him an outlier when it comes to NFL history.
Them people, man, hey, it's how you feel, dog, and you toting that thing better than anybody in the league right now. So how does that even feel, bro? Because when you turn 30, they just suppose like you're gonna fall off. How did that feel, bro? Coming from Tennessee last year, you went for 1,100 yards and 12 TDs just last year, and these people talking about he 30, he gonna be old, he ain't gonna be the same. Like what's that about, bro? What that made you feel like, bro?
Yeah, really, I just wanted an opportunity. I knew I still had a lot left in the tank, and then being a free agent, just seeing who was interested, and I wanted to be Baltimore. There was Baltimore. It was not the Cowboys.
Oh,
The Cowboys were, if Baltimore wasn't interested, then that'd be another good spot to go to because I live in Dallas. There's been so much talks about I want to go to the Cowboys. That's why I wanted to be. I wanted to be here in Baltimore, and thank God it happened. But being 30 years old in opposition, that comes that stigma is always going to be on a running back position, no matter who you are, just because that's the nature of the game as far as age and the position. But I don't focus on that. I know I can still play at a high level, and thank God I've been able to play this long, and been trending in the right direction, so far this season.
Why is 30 that magic number for running backs?
I don't know. It's just the statistics of the position, and especially guys who had success early, who get a lot of carries, and then have a lot of mileage. And then once you get up to that age, then you kind of see a little fall off as you creep into the 30s and 31s. But it's been some guys who've had success, but it's not it's not a lot of guys that had that much success. But I mean, I understand it, but I don't accept it. So
right.
I'm gonna write my own narrative and work as hard as I can to have success and help my team and do my job the best way I can.
You're dang right. He's written his own narrative. Goodness gracious. And that narrative and that story will continue. There will be more chapters. Look at what he did in 2024. He was first in rushing grade, according to PFF, at over 93. He was first in yards after contact with over 1,100. He was first in missed tackles forced with 81. And he was first in first down rushes with 93. And look at what he's done since 2020, which, of course, majority of which was in Tennessee, the most games with 100-plus rushing yards. He's got 37 of them. The next closest is Jonathan Taylor in Indianapolis with 24. It is nothing short of amazing. And to talk about it from a monetary standpoint, from a financial perspective, is friend of the show and Raven salary cap analyst for Russell Street Report. You can hit him up on X or Twitter at Raven Salary Cap, and that is my friend Brian McFarland. Sarah Ellison will be joining us shortly once she gets her kids in order. But Brian, this is obviously a big domino that we were anticipating, and it gets done pre-schedule release. Your instant reaction when it came down earlier today?
Yeah, well, of all the extensions, this seemed like the one that was going to be the most likely to happen, that should happen, so to speak. You don't like a player, you don't like a top player going into that last year of his deal as a lame duck or a pending free agent. And you're going to use the franchise tag next year on a 32-year-old running back. Probably not. So you want to get that done. There was just too many reasons for it to get done. He was obviously he outperformed that contract. He was coming off of for him a down year, so the Ravens got a real bargain. But you can't, you want to keep the guy happy. I mean, we don't always think about that with contracts like this. But he signed up for his contract, so he knew what he signed up for. Well, when you outlive that contract, you deserve to be paid, and he certainly did. I mean, if he doesn't. If they don't blow out a couple of games, he might be over 2,000 yards again. What he was at 1975 or something like that. It was really close. So, it just made too much sense. And I think you mentioned it earlier. I think the Barkley deal. I think the last time we spoke, last time we talked about Henry, that Barkley deal probably, because it kind of came out of nowhere. They ripped up 3 or 4 years of that deal and started it over. So I think that probably, slowed things down a little, but it still just made too much sense to get this done.
Yeah, for sure. And by the way, that number from last year from a rushing yards perspective was 1,921. And to your point, had they not just sent teams out of stadiums and maybe even hadn't been so conservative to start with the King when it comes to usage, I mean, he would have absolutely been in that 2,000 category, and that would have been the second time in his career. We all remember that historic 2020 season where he went for 2,027. You never know. He could have that on his mind, Brian, in the coming years now that he's going to be in Baltimore through 2027. This is certainly a commitment. This is an investment, and this is a belief. They are instilling belief in what they've seen from Derrick Henry. Sarah has the APY list right here. Would love to get your thoughts on it because you can make the argument, gosh, just in terms of how much of a bargain he was last year. Yes, he's the oldest player on this list by a couple years, and he does vault himself back into top 5 APY. And he's going to double his earnings, what he was set to make, which I believe was 7 prior to this extension. So Saquon Barkley leads the way. 20.6, which we've alluded to a couple times. Christian McCaffrey, 19. Both of those players are 28 years of age. And now the King at 31 comes in at 15, flanked by Jonathan Taylor, who's 26 at 14 million, and Alvin Kamara at 20. God, doesn't feel like Alvin Kamara is like 39. It feels like he's been around forever, but he's at 12.3, rounding out the top 5, and he is 29 years of age. So I guess how can you gauge the fairness level if you were to talk about from the team's perspective and Derrick Henry's party? How do you gauge this in terms of fairness?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's right down the middle. I think it's kind of perfect, honestly. I kind of thought before the Barkley deal, as you said, Henry's prior deal was $8 million a year. Clearly was deserving of a bump. Barkley at that point I think it was 12.5 on the prior deal. So he was actually below Taylor. So I thought 12 to 13 was probably the sweet spot before the Barkley extension. But obviously that changed things. So, from the Ravens perspective, I don't know if you'd want to go to more than 15. And from Henry, I mean, the difference is Henry's 31. And I mean, it does make a difference. Now he seems like the unicorn. He's this kind of guy I think they feel safe betting on. It's a 2-year extension, so it's 3 years. They're probably going to put void years in it. So if they get 2 years out of it, and he retires or the wheels come off the cart, so to speak. If they get two solid years, it's a great deal. The third year they'll have a little bit of dead money, but if you get 2 really good years out of it, you'll eat that happily. So that's kind of where it is. But I think 15 is kind of just sure, the Ravens would like it to be a little less, I guess, and he'd like it to be a little more, maybe, and that tells you it's a good middle ground then.
Yeah, and what ground would the Ravens have to stand on? I mean, he's brought an element of just explosiveness, and he and Lamar have truly become this dynamic that has to make life for Todd Monken super fun. You're going to be waiting on the specifics when it comes to the void years and whatnot, I'm sure, to populate. But Albert Breer here has the cash flow in terms of the next 14 million fully guaranteed. You've kind of already referenced this, but 14 million fully guaranteed, 11 million in year 2 fully guaranteed, and then 12 in 2027. So 18 million for the extra year. The team gets the option in 2027, and this is kind of what you're getting at here, right? Like let's see that cliff. He has shown absolutely no signs of that cliff nearing. But if for some reason it comes out of left field, the Ravens are in pretty darn good shape.
Yeah, for sure. And the way they've been doing contracts, I would kind of assume they're going to tack on 2 void years to stretch out the bonus money. Looking at that 14 million, I had actually there was some inkling that this was going to happen this week. So I'd kind of put together a little example, and actually it was pretty darn close to these numbers. I had it 13 million in the first year, 11 in the second, and so 13. So and
There
then
it is, Brian.
yeah, and then one. So I was off by I was one low on the first year and one high on the last year. 1 million high each year. So if that holds, then it's probably going to save him about 3 million in cap space this year, which is nice. So that's helpful for the Ravens for their future expenses and maybe bringing in maybe a safety or now or whoever. So I mean that's helpful, but so it's pretty much right where it should be. The numbers should work out nicely, I think so.
Okay, so that'll be in addition, though. That sum will be in addition to what you've been on top of, too, given last week's news with Justin and the post-June 1 designation. Marcus Williams will be used as such as well. And is that number just north of 4, if memory serves?
Tucker's 4.2, Williams is 2.1. The Michael Pierce's retirement will be 1.25, which obviously isn't a lot. And then it hasn't shown up on anything official yet on cap stuff, but Bowser dropping his grievance. If it's fully dropped, that's what they'll get a 1.8 million credit there. So they've got a lot of money coming in soon, so to speak. So to help cover things, but definitely opens things up where they can go out and get some other players and not potentially have to restructure guys yet. Now, trade deadline, they might have to restructure somebody then, and there's still more business to do. They'd love to. I'm sure they're trying, but they'd love to get a deal, an extension done with Lamar, which would create a lot of cap space.
Yeah.
If you're a guy, if you're talking about Linderbaum or Hamilton, they'll need some cap space, not a lot, but they're going to need some cap space for those two. So this money could go towards that as well. Travis Jones, Isaiah Likely, actually they would create cap space with extensions there. Same with Mark Andrews. So I'm obviously don't have no idea what direction they're going with the tight ends at this point, but so they've got a lot of items on their plate, and this is the time of year. You got OTAs, but they're behind the draft. Most of your planning is done, so this is the time to get extensions done. May and June and into July. Once training camp hits, focus changes a lot, but so this part of the summer is the perfect time to get extensions done, and hopefully this is the first of many, to be honest with you.
And they also have other internal business to handle, right? Like only a portion of the rookie class is signed at this point. And
they still have their top 2 picks to take care of, but that doesn't, because they're rookie deals. That first year cap number isn't terrible, so that's not going to make a great impact on the cap at this point.
Okay, and then the practice squad too. That'll have to be allocated.
Those numbers will come up, and then carrying, obviously, at this point, they're whether he goes on IR or PUP, but Darius Washington, that's almost 3.3 million that's going to be sitting on a reserve list, and you got to replace him. So if it's a guy like Bo Braid, then that's not going to cost you much. But if they go out and get a veteran for $1 million or $2 million, then you basically put 5 plus, if it's $2 million, you put like 5.3 million into your that third safety spot, even though one of them can't play. So, that's the team has to be mindful of those things, and fans should be mindful of those future expenses too. Right now, I mean, if I do the numbers prior to those expenses, they're looking at probably 16 million in cap space. So that's wow. So that sounds great. And I always hesitate telling people those numbers sometimes because oh, we're going to go sign everybody. But you got to factor those future expenses in. Once that happens, I mean, the practice squad's 4 million. You'd like to carry 6 million into the season. So once those expenses happen, you're probably at 3 to 4 million. So it's not a lot of extra cap space. But this time of year, you're not going to be spending you're not going to get a guy for a $10 million cap number. It's just not going to happen. I mean, a guy like Clowney, you could get for probably a $4 million cap number, which would kind of fit right into these numbers, actually.
And they're probably going to want to take a look at what they have at that position. I know Mike Green, there's a lot of optimism around him. But after, KVN and Adafe, there's probably more questions than there are answers. So I know there's some folks that are definitely clamoring for a reuniting with Davian after he got the bag from Carolina a year ago. Did not work out, obviously, win-loss wise, just overall trajectory wise. I think there was a component of that it was kind of going back home, closer to home, but maybe he wants one more chase. So great stuff, Brian, as always. And before I get you out of here, anything that you are hoping for in about 32 minutes from right now when these schedules are released?
I just want the Miami game to be in early December. So it's cooler here, but warmer there. I don't want it to be too close to Thanksgiving, and I don't want it to be in September.
Fair enough. That's your only wish list.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, you got to play everybody eventually. So, I personally, I go to pretty much every home game. I don't like night games anymore. I know it's going to happen, so it's not worth wishing for no primetime night games. I like my 1:00 Sunday. I've gotten to that point in my life.
Fair enough. And if these rumors are true about the one true leak, right, of Buffalo, Baltimore rematch in Orchard Park, Week 1, Sunday Night Football. Look, having went there and freaking contracted the Buffalo plague, I call it, which was 2 weeks of the flu in January, it's a welcome sight to know that leak could have a little bit of the little bit of belief behind that. And I'm hoping it's true because September in Western New York's a whole heck of a lot better than January.
Absolutely, for sure.
Let everybody know what you got coming up. At Raven Salary Cap is where you can be found on X, and I'm sure you're going to have some content coming up on Russell Street Report.
Yep. When big news comes up, when we get these numbers on Henry's deal, we'll put that out, and hopefully there'll be more to come, and hopefully we'll have at some point before that Buffalo game, we'll have an extension for Lamar that we can talk about all kinds of fun numbers.
I'll be texting you. I will be texting you, Brian. Thank you so much as always for your time.
Absolutely, anytime.
Appreciate you, Brian McFarland there, Raven Salary Cap. Go hit him up on X. It's just super analytical. He's always on top of this stuff. And did you see how close he was in that exercise that he put forth on Over the Cap? He was so close to having that Derrick Henry extension down to a T. So props to him. Partner, come on in whenever you get a chance. I'm going to get this Be More Around Town read in. What's going on? Happy schedule release night.
What the heck, man? I feel like we've only not talked to each other, 6 hours? And so much has happened between then and now, between Derrick Henry. You just had on Brian McFarland, which I missed, but of course, he predicted the Derrick Henry contract numbers as they should be because he's the man, which is why we rely on him so much. And in addition to that, I'm sure we both did a million things, Bobby. I got an arms workout in since I missed it this morning. So I'm feeling half swole and half sore. So I'm ready to give Be More Around Town a little love. And then I do got to react to Derrick on the other side because I might be a little bit excited. A little bit excited.
Oh, of course. We got the time to do it. So that's great. I'm glad you're feeling jacked. Okay. And I think this fan base is feeling jacked right now because this was a big domino that fell. And it just so happens to come on one of the best days of the entire offseason. So that, your reaction, and a whole lot more is coming up in just a second. But for the third straight year, we are proud to be partnering with Be More Around Town, Brian Snyder and his finest crew. I have been so lucky to partner up with them in terms of home game tailgate live streams over the last couple of years. I've been to London with them in September or October it was of 23. I went to Buffalo on the road with them this past January, and they are the premier travel provider for you, the Ravens flock. They bring fans on the road, and they bring you the ultimate Baltimore fan experience. It's a true Baltimore fan-run business, and they host true Baltimore fans. And right now, literally starting right now, Sarah, they want to get you guys in on the deposits. They are accepting deposits right now to be placed on 2025 Purple road trips. The space is limited. You're looking at it right now where you can get started. Of course, there's no dates attached, right? We're going to have those in about 30 minutes, the dates and the times. But you've got at Cleveland, at Green Bay, at Cincy, at Pittsburgh. The link to this site, by the way, show notes, pinned comment right now in the live chat, BeMoreAroundTown.com. You guys know the drill. At Buffalo, could that be week 1? There continues to be more and more leaks that are coming out here. Chargers, Chiefs, Friday, September 5th in Brazil. I think we may have already had that matchup maybe, but now the date is set, September 5th in Brazil from Schefter, coming out just seconds ago. At Kansas City, at Miami. Brian McFarland's going to be there apparently. He wants that one badly. Ravens at Minnesota. And then for every single one of these trips, there's a little wrinkle. Here they are right here. Green Bay, Brian's going to get you an exclusive tour of the most iconic field. I will say that. It's the most iconic field. It's Lambeau. You get an exclusive tour. Minnesota, you get time at the Mall of America. I'm good on that, but hey, maybe you guys would love it. An optional tour of Prince's house. Buffalo, you got the Wings, Niagara Falls. Miami, you got Fort Lauderdale Beach. A booze cruise is attached as well. Kansas City, you get a tour of Arrowhead and Kansas City barbecue. Pittsburgh, you got the Purple Pep Rally and enemy territory. Cleveland, you get the tour of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, which is dope. Cincy, they're still working on, which is hilarious because he took a jab at him in the notes that he gave us. Not sure what to say to spice this one up. It's Cincinnati. That's hilarious. But yeah, look, their trips include round trip airfare, premium hotel accommodations, airport and game day transportation, all inclusive Ravens fan parties all weekend long. You got the purple tailgates that come along with it. Game tickets are included. Special guests go on the road. I know Chris McAllister joins them. J.O. has from time to time. Jamie Sharper, you name it. They're always in line with Ravens legends, and we couldn't be more pleased to be partnering with Be More Around Town yet again for another season. Go check them out. We'll tell you more about them throughout the evening. But it is time, partner. I've said my piece. It's time for you to get involved here because Derrick Henry is under contract in Baltimore now through 2027. He leapfrogs a number of running backs into the APY category of third league-wide at his position, behind, of course, Saquon Barkley and Christian McCaffrey. It's a nice chunk of money for a 31-year-old running back who's an ascending player that put forth over 1,900 rushing yards last year in year 1 alongside Lamar, 16 rushing touchdowns, almost 6 yards per carry, and now you get to see that over the next couple of years. What were your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are the following. There are some things that just fit together, that just go together. Okay, there's peanut butter and jelly. There is steak and potatoes. There's Bobby Baltimore and mustaches. There's turkey and Thanksgiving. And there is Derrick Henry in royal purple as a Raven to be teammates in the backfield with Lamar Jackson. It just feels right. It just feels right after he put up 1,900 yards as he and Lamar got to play off of each other. I just keep thinking back to the Pittsburgh Steelers regular season game where TJ Watt and company couldn't figure out who was going to have the ball. Should we prioritize Derrick Henry? Should we prioritize Lamar Jackson? We don't know. So they're going to run all over us. And so to see and to hear that these two guys are going to be together through 2027, and that's along with like Flowers is going to be around for several years. Bateman is under contract through 2026. Ronnie Stanley was just signed to an extension that will keep him around several years. Most of the offensive line, well, other than Linderbaum, we got to figure out Lindy. That's for sure. We got to figure out Isaiah Likely. That's for sure. But these guys are going to be together through 2026, bare minimum, some of them longer. So if the Ravens lock up Lindy, we have got an offense that last year ranked number 1 in many major offensive categories. And these two right here, they are what make it all go. Derrick Henry makes it so that Lamar Jackson doesn't have to be Superman game in and game out. But Lamar Jackson makes it so that Derrick Henry gets to extend his career. That he gets to have, last year, he put up the most yards per carry. And that's talking about he's been offensive player of the year in the past. He's put up the most, he's been over 2,000 many times. And then at the age of 30, he somehow puts up the most yards per carry. You think that has something to do with the 2-time MVP, should be 3-time MVP? Look at that. Look at the way they look at each other. Okay? That is a bromance right there. That is a bromance with smiles looking in each other's eyes. And it's just excellent chemistry, Bobby, with these two in this offense. If the defense can do its part, get a few more turnovers, get a few more stops, and giving them the ball in the opponent's territory, this team is capable of so much. And it's such good news coming off the heels of the bad news of Ardarius Washington. I love this move. EDC is cooking. It's the opposite of what we're seeing in Cincinnati, where Trey Hendrickson is ticked off. EDC has said he's making good on his promise. We want you to retire a Raven. This is where you're going to finish your career. And he made good on that promise, even with Saquon Barkley moving the goalposts in a good way for running backs. Running backs are so back. And to have $15 million per year, I think is right on. I think before Saquon's deal, we were looking at maybe $12 million per year. Saquon moved that bar up for running backs. He is 31, so he's a little bit older than the two guys that are ahead of him, but his production is there. He didn't show at all, even at the end of the season, that he might have lost any juice whatsoever. It's a great marriage, and I really want to see him retire. I don't know if he's going to retire a Raven, but I think he can finish his career as a Raven, and we all hope that it leads to a little bit of jewelry on the finger.
If that jewelry ends up coming to fruition, it's hard to believe, even though he spent a number of his time and began his career in Tennessee, was drafted by Tennessee. It's hard not to think that if he wins that Lombardi, might he retire a Baltimore Raven? Things that are way down the line, conversations that are way down the line, but the vibes are good. And he penned a note to the Ravens flock a short while ago, earlier this afternoon. And he said, flock, with all the emojis you can possibly get fired up about. God is good. At Ravens, I'm appreciative and grateful for everyone, a part of this great organization, and a big shout out to all my teammates to be able to make this possible. Thank you, Flock Nation, for always supporting, working as hard as I can to be able to contribute to us holding up that trophy when it's all said and done. Love 22. And Sarah, I've spent a few minutes prior to coming live compiling up some thoughts that his teammates have expressed about him, observing him over the last year or so. One that actually hasn't played a game with him yet in Baltimore, but he will be pretty shortly. And that is one DeAndre Hopkins. Listen to this.
Derrick is, like family. Derrick and I have a long relationship. We talked today, actually. Well, his trainer and, myself, we all work out together down in Dallas. His trainer called me earlier while Derrick was working out. He really didn't say too much, but that's Derrick. He's grinding.
That was during DeAndre's introductory press conference. Then, of course, this years ago at Lamar's first NFL MVP honors event. There's the King looking a lot younger, but he's still obviously young in spirit for sure and on the field. But these three now teammates suiting up together. And I couldn't help but think that the way this team is concocted roster-wise, you got some veterans that have seen a number of different experiences throughout the NFL that are on the other side of 30. Guys like Derrick, guys like DeAndre, guys like Kyle Van Noy. Then you got a guy in your prime, a transcendent player in your prime like Lamar. You got guys on their rookie deals like you've already mentioned in Zay Flowers and Roger Rosengarten. You can go to the other side of the ball with that as well. Nate Wiggins and Malachi Starks. Kyle Hamilton is going to get the bag at some point soon. You already mentioned Linderbaum and the priority that he remains. Rashad Bateman on an extremely team-friendly deal coming off a breakout season. There's a lot to like about this team, but in terms of the variety and the balance, the way it's nuanced in terms of been there, done that, up and coming, but also here right now in the prime. It's a nice mixture.
You know what's funny, Bobby? I don't know why this keeps happening, but I keep forgetting and then remembering that the Ravens signed DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
Because there is so many other pieces to this offense that, wide receiver 3 last year was so like insignificant. You know what I mean? And that's not to downplay Nelson Aguilar, especially in 2023. I thought his contributions were above what I had expected. And so, but we just know how many weapons there are and how Lamar and Todd Monken's going to have to manage all of them. And we know now that Mark Andrews is sticking around with Isaiah Likely. And even it's just like there's so many pieces that it's like, holy crap, the Ravens also have DeAndre Hopkins. You know, it's just like, and I'm going to need, if these guys do end up winning a Super Bowl together, you know how people recreate their childhood pictures as adults? We need them to recreate that photo right there and have them put it back together. And, I was thinking about this earlier today when this all went down. I was reading that stat that Derrick Henry has had the most yards in a single season for any running back at age 30 or more at that 1900 mark. And I think under that, it might be there might be 18 and then a couple 1600s. So doesn't it make sense that he now has broken the record for the amount of money that has been paid to a running back at age 30 years or older? Okay. You keep producing, you keep showing that you can produce at 30 plus, you will get paid in a dissimilar manner from all the other 30-year-old running backs because he proved he's worth it. And what's nice is the Ravens, I mean, he doubled what he was making. He was making $8 million per year. And now he's at 15. So just under double. And the Ravens did that after 1 year here. They could see who he was. They could see the way he worked. What they're saying is, yeah, we see you 31 and 32 being a asset to us and not diminishing. And that's why we're going to almost double your salary and make you the richest running back at age 30 plus than the NFL has ever seen.
It's a commitment to what they've seen. It's a commitment to what they believe in. It's an investment. And ultimately, this is going to pay dividends for the Ravens unless the cliff comes out of nowhere. And even if it does, I thought Brian did a good job. It could very well happen. It could come up out of nowhere. And if that is the case, the way this is structured, I thought Brian did a good job. He was very eloquent in terms of describing how this is structured that would benefit the Ravens if indeed that happens within the next 2 years. So what we know is Derrick Henry under contract through 2027, as is the majority of this core. And so let's see what happens. We appreciate you guys for being with us on this Wednesday schedule release live stream special. We've got over 2,600 concurrents and counting. Thank you guys for being here. Be More Around Town is our exclusive sponsor. It is Baltimore's premier road trip company. If you guys want to go on the road with them, you want to experience a Ravens game on the road, you want to go to a tailgate atmosphere that's electric for home games, go to BeMoreAroundTown.com and learn more. Show notes, pinned comment right now. Channel members have been flying in all throughout the day. Olu, Sonia, mysteriously unnamed, Sheree, Justin Holt, and Sherry Milan have all become brand new Voltrons, brand new channel members. You guys can do the same. We're coming up on 200 if you go to the show notes or just press join, depending on what platform you're watching us on. Thank you, guys. Yo Jitsu is a channel member, Sarah, and he starts us off with a super chat.
LFG, it's time for some action. This is our year.
And we're about 14 minutes, by the way, from this schedule release show on NFL Network kicking off. So we can't be all that far away, Sarah, from getting these official schedules in our hands. And we will instantly react just like we do every single year to the way in which this thing ultimately ends up shaking out. Dakota Moon writes, Bobby's 12th project should be the littering version of Cartnarks, but definitely bring security. What is happening in this super chat right now?
I don't know, but did you see the email where somebody gave you advice? Was it somebody? No, it wasn't an email. It was a comment. there was some advice to you of like, because I said, I'm glad that you encouraged not to litter, when you got into that little situation that seemed a little bit dangerous. One of the comments was, here's how you encourage it without getting in a fight. And
Oh,
he's
nice.
like, he said, or she said, go over and pick it up with a smile. Let them see you do it with happiness. So then they see it, but don't see you mean mugging, and probably just doing it without being angry is the best way to go.
Okay.
I thought that was good advice.
Believe that was Carl. I got to go read that. Thank you. I'm just looking at it now. Carl and his signature line what do they call the subject line says emotional intelligence.
Yeah, that was another one.
That's hilarious. And then, by the way, you just got me thinking about outreach and emailing. I got an awesome email yesterday from a guy named Tim down in the Tampa area who's a huge Ravens fan from the Baltimore area, and he was welcoming me and giving me just this incredible amount of advice. So I have to get back to both of those guys, Carl and Tim, via email. You can always email us at BaltimoreRavensVault@gmail.com. Thank you to Carl. Thank you to Tim. I got to get to those. Those are on my list. And thank you to Dakota for getting this started in the form of a super chat. Jang has become a channel member. She's one of our favorites, Sarah, and she also left a super chat as well.
She says, hey, Bobby and Sarah, I'm back. She has been gone for a little while. Been busy with work and travel. If I remember, she travels far, across the world. I feel like she's been to Japan a few times. At least she's commented on that. I have been watching replays daily, though. Bobby, Utah sounds good, don't you think? LOL. I am going to the Miami game whenever that may be. So,
I think your parents would be thrilled if I became Bobby Utah. And I do have cousins that are temporarily living in Salt Lake. It's definitely on my bucket list. And honestly, because the Super Bowl this year, and we'll see if the Ravens are there or not, but I hope to be there regardless, doing our the Radio Row events that I've done the last couple of years, and you join me in Vegas. Tentatively, I'm planning on stopping through. I mean, it's obviously an add-on to the trip, but I would love to stop in Utah for a couple of days and just see my cousins on the way back from San Francisco.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Jang. Robbie Pate says the Derrick Henry extension the same day as the schedule release night is crazy. Clap it up for EDC and the Voltrons. Appreciate you, Robbie. It does feel like a little double dipping, Sarah, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Feels well. I was going to say I would feel really good if the Ardarius Washington news hadn't come out last night. So, but these two things are nice together.
I will tell you along those lines. I heard back from Bo Braid's people, and he was set to join us, but something came up tonight. So we will hopefully track him down as we did last summer, the undrafted rookie safety out of Maryland, who's a second-year player now and could very well, he's going to have something to say about where he fits into this puzzle, if it's a strong offseason, if it's a strong camp. So hopefully we can get him behind the mic at some point in the coming weeks. Dre Dog 679 for you.
He says, I don't appreciate how I can't enter for this gift card because I have a dang Instagram with what you call it, cursing emojis.
Meaning he does not have an IG account. And Dre Dog sounds like a great way to just pop up on the burner right now. We're not going to know. Go make yourself a burner account, follow us, and go get this done so you can be eligible. Thanks for the shameless plug, my friend. We are doing a giveaway tonight. $100. Sorry, Dre. $100 courtesy of Fanatics and Primary Residential Mortgage that you can use directly towards Baltimore's team store. Think about all the merch that you have available there. And all you got to do, and look at everybody, Sarah. Look at everybody who's already diving into this. Tila made sure her entry is official. Carl, who just emailed us with emotional intelligence advice for me, is in on it. Eileen Nolan, add _Gaskin, so on and so forth. A lot of people getting involved in this. It's courtesy of one of my sponsors on the Bobby Baltimore channel, Primary Residential Mortgage, and we will randomly select a winner coming up in the next 24 hours. So thank you, Dre Dog. I'm sorry you can't enter. Nothing's stopping you from creating a freaking IG account. But cool little one of the wrinkles for tonight, Sarah.
Absolutely.
And
are we all caught up?
Since I read all that, I'll let you do Not a Fan.
Not a Fan says, you're my boy, Bobby. It's all love. Whenever it starts like that, something's coming. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
You're my boy. It's all love. He says, but you with the stash for sure reminds me of Officer Doofy from Scary Movie. Keep doing your thing, bro.
All right, let's see.
I have
Officer,
not,
you
I have
guys
not
know
seen Scary Movie, which I know is a comedy, but I don't do well with scary movies. And so
You
it's
guys-
hard for me to watch something that's called Scary Movie.
Yeah, you guys know I'm not a movie guy at all. Let's see.
You can't
my,
sit down long
you
enough
gotta,
to know you.
you gotta be
Here,
kidding
pull
me.
it up. Share your screen.
You gotta be.
Let's get a side by side.
Man, I thought Steven was my guy. This is just a tough look right here. Just a tough look. Tough comparison. Just tough.
Hey, how about this? Who is the latest guy on Top Gun? The pilot. You haven't watched Top Gun?
No.
You can't even watch Top Gun?
Who
You
is it?
can't sit
Tom
down long
Cruise?
enough to watch? No, Tom Cruise, new wingman.
I saw Tom's teaser for what's his new movie coming out?
I don't know. Top Gun mustache. I can't remember. his
Isn't it
name.
Mission Impossible or something?
Oh, dude, you're gonna love this comparison. You're gonna love me for bringing this in after he just gave you Officer Doofy.
Okay, hit me with it.
Hold on. Share screen. Here we go.
Everybody's saying it's Miles Teller.
Okay. Look.
Yeah.
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 See?
Yeah.
See how nice I am?
I just have to dye my mustache because mine's like peach fuzz compared to that. But what are you gonna
There you go.
do? Yeah, that's
He's
more.
got any with the backwards hat on. I think they recreated the volleyball scene, but nope, I see it. He doesn't have a hat on.
We'll take that and run. Not a fan can go pound salt with his comparison. Steven. Kobe Pruitt says, if we can start fast, we'll win the conference. Thank you all for being here. I just checked, Sarah, we are 25 Voltrons, aka channel members out from hitting our 200 number. So if you want to help us get there, either in the form of just signing up or gift giving, like so many of you have in recent days, we would love to get to that 200 number before tonight is over. So thank you for being here. Prince Lee wants to know my Instagram. It is at Bobby Baltimore. You guys know how to find me over there. And Sarah, I think there's something that you and I are both going to appreciate. And I'm sure you've seen it by now. Maybe you haven't.
Oh.
But for the first time in 3 years, the Ravens will not be playing on Christmas Day or night. Confirmed. Book it. Okay? Lacey's dream or Lacey's wish has come true, unless they do some sort of ridiculous doubleheader or unless another network has plans, which I would imagine Netflix has it undercover and taken over that whole day. The Chiefs are playing at night.
Yeah.
Washington and Dallas playing in the 1 o'clock slot, and Minnesota and Detroit playing in the 4:30 slot. Leslie Trossett is somewhere singing the praises of the National Football League because she might have disowned me, Sarah. She might have disowned me if I was unavailable 3 consecutive Christmases.
That 1 p.m. slot on Christmas Day is just nasty work. It's nasty work. And plus, both Dallas and Kansas City have to play both of those major holidays. That is even more nasty work. 1 p.m. on Christmas Day? Oh, woof. Well, but I'll say this. Better them than us. Because I did not want to do that again. I did not want to do that again. Lacey DaCosta looking very excited. Did you read this already?
I did not.
Okay. Dear Santa, I know it's early and you're still on vacation, but all I want for Christmas is no game. Hope you're living it up in the Bahamas because work starts soon. Love, Lacey. That was earlier today before the news came out.
Absolutely. Yesterday it was from Lacey. So luckily, we are in good shape along those lines. There are some leaks. In about 4 minutes from right now, the annual schedule release show, courtesy of NFL Network, kickstarts. And right now, Sarah, what has been garnering the most amount of dialogue and traffic and what feels legit based on some some tweets that I've seen, aside from the one that we shared off the top of our lunch hour live stream this afternoon, is that regular season opener on the road in a rematch form against the Buffalo Bills in Orchard Park, Bills-Ravens Sunday Night Football. I continue to see legs on that. And what a start it would be.
Yeah, no, listen, I feel like I called that earlier this week. I didn't call it thinking it was really going to happen, but it's what I wanted to have happen because I wanted to get just an opportunity, just like the Ravens had in 2024, to get the bad, bitter taste out of their mouths from getting kicked out of the AFC Championship by the Steelers or by the Chiefs. And then they were a toe away from exacting early revenge. Then they never got an opportunity in the postseason, and that is because of the Buffalo Bills. And so now I want the opportunity again in front of the country with everybody watching on week 1 on Sunday Night Football, where the Ravens have the best record. There it is. Can't believe you had that ready. Right on cue. Look at you, producer Bobby. Ravens have the best win percentage on Sunday Night Football, entering in its 20th anniversary season, and they don't just like edge out somebody in the number 1 spot. They are much better over the Green Bay Packers. Ravens at 67% win percentage. Green Bay Packers 50, or it is basically a 60% win percentage. And Bobby, guess who's not on here? Guess who's not on here? The Buffalo Bills. They're not in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 top 7. Not there. So give it to me all day long. I've also, listen, I don't know how many of these leaks are real. I'm seeing stuff all over the place that the Ravens might have the Chiefs in week 4. So that would be 2 early games against those two. Probably not a bad idea because the Ravens could get a rematch later in the year. I also like it when division games are late in December. So you're fighting for the division. So, yeah, I'm here for Sunday night, week 1 against the Bills.
It seems like what's gaining steam is an opening 4-week slate of at Bills week 1, home opener week 2, hosting Cleveland, another home game week 3, Detroit, and then like you just mentioned, week 4 at Arrowhead, which would be a 425 slate. That's just what seems to be getting some traction. We'll probably know in a couple minutes here. And so we're just kind of holding down the fort until then. We have more super chats that have come in as well. We should also note, just in case you missed it earlier in the week, because we're only 2 years removed from them having a ridiculous amount of travel, including a trip to Europe for London in 2023 to face Tennessee. And then last year, they logged the least amount of miles. Well, look at what they're doing this year. Right where you want to be. No international game, and the third least in terms of miles traveled. It'll be 10,647. For comparison purposes, at the top of this list, the 2 LA teams on the West Coast, over 37,000 for Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers, over 34,000 for Sean McVay and the Rams. So, but Buffalo and Cincinnati, Sarah, right below them in terms of least amount. And so that'll benefit them as well.
Okay, Bobby, it's out. The Ravens have it.
All right, I'll get that.
And we were right on opening up against the Bills. Week 1, Sunday Night Football, 8:20 in Buffalo. Let's go! All
right.
We were also correct on week 2, being at home against the Browns. The home opener will be against the Browns as you bring it up. You were also correct on the Lions being week 3. That one's on Monday Night Football at home in the bank. Let's go!
This is going to be quite the start to a season in terms of exposure, competition. This graphic is so small, tweeted out by the team. We'll do our best to get you a better one. There will be more.
Yep.
There will be more. But right now, you're looking at the 2025 regular season schedule for the Ravens. I'm going to rip it off. We'll start to react to it. We'll look for a better graphic to get this to you in real time. But right now, week 1 will be a rematch of the divisional round playoff game at Buffalo, 8:20 on the 7th of September. It's Sunday Night Football. Week 2, they'll turn around and host the Cleveland Browns. Who will be under center? No idea. That's a 1 o'clock game on the 14th. Week 3, home against the Detroit Lions. It's an 8:15 start on Monday Night Football, like you mentioned, against Detroit on September 22nd. Week 4, they travel to Arrowhead. It's a 4:25. I'm guessing that'll be a CBS A-Team booth with Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, and Tracy Wolfson on the 28th of September. Week 5, October 5th, a home game against the Houston Texans. It's a 1 o'clock start. Week 6, another home game on the 12th of October against the Rams, 1 o'clock. Sarah, as early of a bye week as I can remember since I started covering this team in 2019, it is week 7. That's the middle of October. Very different than what they've had in recent seasons, with it either being late November or early December. It was late as all heck last year. Week 8, it'll be a home game against the Chicago Bears. The 26th of October, it's a 1 o'clock kickoff. Week 9, the 30th of October, at Miami. That's against the Dolphins. 8:15 on Thursday night. There's something about, Sarah, these Thursday night games against the Dolphins. They've had a couple of them in recent seasons. Week 10, they'll travel to Minnesota the 9th of November to open up that month. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff against the Vikings. Week 11, at Cleveland, the 16th of November against the Browns, 4:25 start. Week 12 will be a home game against the Jets. It's the 23rd of November, 1 o'clock. Week 13, home against Cincinnati. It's the 27th of November, and that is a primetime game. 8:20 against the Bengals on the 27th of November.
That is Thanksgiving night.
Okay, thank you. Because it doesn't specify here. So that is a Thanksgiving. So there you have it. It's
Listen, they gave him a break from Christmas, but they gave him Thanksgiving. But to be honest, I'm cool with Thanksgiving night. Thanksgiving, I eat dinner, the Thanksgiving lunch/dinner, kind of earlier in the day, probably like at 3 o'clock. So I'll be good by late Thursday night. Let's do this.
For sure. That's not bad, because that's what we had. That's what you and I had December of 2023. And that they were on the West Coast that night. I can't remember who it was 49ers. It was 49ers.
This one against your division rival on Thanksgiving night will be at the bank. At the bank in Baltimore.
Correct.
Let's go.
Correct. And that kind of brings you back to Thursday night a couple of years ago when the Ravens smacked the Bengals, but they lost Mark Andrews that night to the hip drop tackle. And it was also against the Bengals. So there's a couple repetitive aspects of this. But again, that it does remind you of that Christmas night, 8 o'clock start a couple of years ago when they smacked the 49ers. Lamar racked up that second MVP that night. Week 14, December 7th. That'll be against the Pittsburgh Steelers, a 1 o'clock start. Week 15, the 14th of December, they will play Cincinnati, Sarah, 2 times in the span of 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be at Cincy, 1 o'clock start. Week 16 is home against the New England Patriots, 1 o'clock start on the 21st of December. And week 17 and week 18, TBD when it comes to the date and time, but it's at Green Bay. And then it's at Pittsburgh, of course, in the regular season finale, which will be on the road in enemy territory. And that is your 25-26 Ravens regular season schedule. Your thoughts?
Well, John Harbaugh is going to be happy because finally they have a home Monday night football game, which I swear he's been begging for many, many years. Man, I got to make this bigger. Do we have any better images yet? My goodness.
I'm working on it. This is a very uncharacteristic graphic by the Ravens. This is brutal.
I'm sure it has to do with I'm sure they have like a video that there is on theme with this, but it's not making it easy to see. That's for sure.
Paul Mancano's got us covered. He works for the Baltimore Banner, and this is directly from him. I'll get his ad up on the screen to give him attribution in just a second.
There
this
we
is
go.
A little bit better.
Oh, there we go. Now we can see. Thank you.
Again,
So,
this is courtesy of Paul Mancano from the Baltimore Banner and a little bit more easy to digest.
I'm a little bit surprised by 4 primetime games. I thought they might have one more. However, they left 2 TBDs, week 17 and week 18. There's a big possibility being the Packers. Week 17 could also be primetime. Week 18 against the Steelers, depending on what the stakes are. And if that's Aaron Rodgers, by the way, I'm very curious what the Steelers primetime setup is, because the NFL schedule makers could be telling us whether they think Aaron is going to sign with Pittsburgh, whether they're right or wrong. But that one could be, any of these could be flexed, right? Any of them could be flexed. But you've got a Sunday night, a Monday night, a Thursday night in prime, nothing with Netflix, which is good because Netflix has not been my favorite. And then another Thursday night, but it being Thanksgiving. So that's awesome. Now, let's take this quarter by quarter. That's sometimes how it's easiest. So we'll go weeks 1 through 4. You are going against 3 of your first 4 games are against playoff teams from last year. Bills and Chiefs both made it to the AFC Championship game, and the Lions made it to the NFC Championship game. Browns, obviously, we know what they didn't make it, but Browns in division, we never know what's going to happen. They pulled up an upset again last year. So the first 4 weeks, the Ravens can make a statement. They can make a statement and be like, oh, Bills knocked us out. Boom, revenge. Oh, Browns got an upset. Boom, you're done. And whatever quarterback you have, rethink what you're doing. Lions at home, NFC, no problem. In front of an audience of Monday Night Football, boom, you're done. And the Chiefs at a 4:25 time slot. Again, if they could beat those people, that is a massive statement saying we're starting. We're going to get off to a hot start, unlike last year where our defense had a brand new coordinator and we were figuring things out. There's no reason that the Ravens offense cannot start on fire with everybody returning but one starter at left guard with Voorhees. And then the second year under Zach Orr with Malachi Starks in there, Mike Green in there, the Ravens have a massive opportunity to make a huge statement in September.
Certainly. We appreciate you guys for being with us tonight. The annual schedule release is here, and this is your 2025 slate of games. Sarah, the way that they begin those first 4 weeks, like you mentioned, eerily reminiscent of a year ago. It was an onslaught right out of the gate last year. They obviously started 0-2, put themselves in a little bit of a hole, and dug themselves out of it, ultimately going on to win the AFC North with a resurgent post-bye week performance that spanned a month. Some notes here from the Ravens comm department. They're initially scheduled to play 4 primetime games, 2 at home and 2 away. You've mentioned this. It begins with a week 1 showdown at Buffalo. In the season's first 6 weeks, Baltimore will face 5 teams, and you've already kind of mentioned this. Is this where you were getting those notes?
No.
Okay.
Just going through it.
I got you. 4 of Baltimore's final 6 games are against division rivals, Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. And the Ravens will play the Bengals, as I mentioned, twice in a 3-week span, 3-game span, weeks 13 and 15. So, and of course, it's going to be at Pittsburgh before this is all said and done on week 18. Let's get to some super chats. Get your live reactions. This graphic is courtesy of Paul Mancano. Tonight's show is brought to you by our friends at Be More Around Town. And now that the dates and times, as Tilly loves to make her way into the live stream any chance she gets, now that the dates and times are here, we would love for you to start scheduling your purple road trips with Be More Around Town. I know Brian McFarland's going to be fired up to get down to Miami, Lambeau Field in Green Bay in December, or maybe that'll even be early January, depending on how this thing shapes up. That's going to be a coveted game, you would think, for folks that are just a fan of sport, a fan of the history of the game. At Arrowhead, that's going to be a movie against the Chiefs. And, of course, rematching with the Bills in September in Western New York is a whole heck of a lot more weather-friendly than it typically is in the month of January when they played last year. Super chats it is. Appreciate you guys for being here. We left off with Kobe, and Draydog679 says, if Bobby don't cut that little crust stash. Oh, it's staying just for you, Dre, now that I know that you don't like it. Caven is KSC became a new channel member. Aid, hopefully I'm not botching this name. Aid Gok, 80, Aid, just became a new channel member. Welcome to you both. And Sarah Dakota Moon checking in with another super chat.
I'm going to need y'all to watch some movies. Could have been dangerous pulling up an Officer Doofy photo. Oh, okay. Yeah, movies for both of us. Bobby, when I was working out today, because I did in the afternoon instead of in the morning, my 2 teenage sons came with me. And I had, while I was working out, NFL Live in my AirPods. And my 13-year-old comes over, he looks at my phone. And he's like, NFL Live where you're working out, huh? He's like, I love you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
See, it's like that ultimate reminder, man. My mom is freaking cool. You know? My mom, she can hang, you know, she can hang.
But no movies. No movies.
I feel like that's what that's had to have what was going through his mind. Had to have been. Had to have been. Appreciate you, Dakota. Hayes09, channel member of ours. This year, the offensive line should be polished up and no BS penalties compared to last year's week 1 opener to Kansas City. The defense should be improved now. 4-0, weeks 1 through 4. And another one, week 8 and week 9, will be a brutal short stretch, which is, as we're trying to memorize this thing off the fly, it'll be Chicago home and then a short turnaround. Okay, I see what he's saying. It's just a short turnaround.
Yeah.
Week 8 against the Bears home, and then they go around and down, I should say, to Miami for a Thursday night matchup with the Dolphins.
Well, when we're done with super chats, at least this round, we got to come back through and keep going through these by quarter. We just went through quarter 1.
Yeah,
so
we certainly will.
We'll take the 2nd through 4th after these super chats.
Absolutely. Dreams for you.
Pittsburgh on my 30th birthday on 12/7.
Heck yeah.
Like to deliver you a nice birthday gift that night for sure.
Heck yeah. Damica Bocato. Damica Bocadodo says only 4 primetime games so far. Come on. But as we mentioned a minute ago, could very well have 1 or 2 on the back end when it's all said and done. Gordon Chase, just showing us some love. We appreciate you, Gordon. And Jemmy93.
What's our record before the bye? Predictions. Okay, we'll come back to that. Can we come back to that one?
Absolutely. Richard says going to freeze my butt off week 17, and I'm all for it. That's
Is that Green Bay? That's gonna be
Lambeau
cold.
in December is gonna be, yeah. I mean, it's gonna be like Buffalo-esque last year. Appreciate you, Richard. Loss so serious for you.
If we can beat both Buffalo and KC early, we pretty much control the number 1 seed. I mean, that's for sure. The Ravens for sure could set up a number 1 seed in the AFC by starting out early with wins against them. Absolutely.
Sure. I got the Ravens official team graphic that's pretty spunky coming in here in just a short while from now. So if you want to keep hitting those super chats, on to Kushranadas next.
Oh, are you asking me to?
Please.
Sorry, on the side, I'm writing my takeaways for Twitter. Where are we at here?
I got you. Kushranadas says, oh, we got Bills in week 1. We're getting that. Kushranadas says, oh, we got Bills in week 1. Oh, we getting that lick back. Steelers and Browns won't be as dangerous as past years. Can see a 13-win season. Let's go. And Tristan, who's celebrating 1 month of channel membership.
Our continuity on offense will be a massive strength for us given that hard early season schedule. I agree. Like Harbaugh said, we could line up and play today.
Here's the slick graphic courtesy of Ravens Productions.
We're getting somewhere here.
There you have it. All in real time here. Park Heights Prophet checking in because why not? Finally made it in. Buffalo week 1. The hotel is booked. Are we close to 200 yet? 14-3 incoming. PHP is not only showing us love, not only has his hotel booked for Buffalo, not only worrying about 200 channel Voltrons, which we're coming up on, but also just called his shot, Sarah. 14-3 is his record.
Okay. We'll get to that. I'll give predictions in a minute. I still got to soak it in once we get through these super chats.
Oh no, I'm not asking for a prediction.
I know, but we've got to. It's schedule night. It's schedule night. Just get your mind right. You're gonna do it too. Don't be
mind right
lame.
over there.
It's schedule night. Come on.
Jang says Voltrons need to assemble in Miami. Plus, it's Halloween weekend too. Let's go. That'll be a big one. October in Miami, Thursday night football. That means you can extend the long weekend, right, Jang? Appreciate you. Dozy dope for you.
All my kids are getting home and they just keep walking in. And I'm like, you guys know why Dad picked you up, right? That it wasn't me. So I keep waving him off. Dozy Dope says the Chiefs don't stand a chance week 4. Oh, I hope that's right.
Nagasaki 20. Of course, Green Bay is week 17. I wanted to go, but didn't want to freeze in the frozen tundra. Looks like Miami it is. Nagasaki, it adds to the thrill. It's an iconic venue. It's going to be a great matchup, you would think, with big implications. They're not in the same conference, but big implications for seeding and whatnot. It's going to be a big one.
They got to get ready for these cold weather games in the playoffs. They can wind back up. They could wind back up in Buffalo unless they get the number 1 seed. You got to win those early. They could end up in KC. Like, it's going to be cold in the playoffs. Let's get everybody, primed and ready.
Pull the trigger. Joy Walker became a new channel member, as did Lisa Blaney. Thank you, ladies. Welcome to official Voltron channel membership. We'll get a refresh on that in just a second to see how close we are to 200. We got to be getting pretty darn close, especially if the gift giving begins at some point towards the latter half of this stream. Not a Fan says, shout out to Park Heights Prophet. He prayed to have Buffalo early, and all of his generosity has paid off. That's well said. And Richard, for you.
Early birthday gift, beat the Chiefs. There we go.
Richard, appreciate you guys for being with us. It's time to get back into our instant reaction. But before we do, now that the schedule has officially been released, you already know Be More Around Town is working diligently right now to get their site up and running for a Purple Road Trips. And so if you click on the link right now, and Be More Around Town is the exclusive sponsor of our 3rd annual schedule release live stream, it'll bring you here. Purple Road Trips. You can put your deposits down right now. They're being accepted as we speak. Be More Around Town's the premier travel provider for Ravens Flock. They're bringing fans the ultimate Baltimore fan experience on the road, a true Baltimore fan-run business hosting true Baltimore fans. I can vouch for them firsthand. I went to Buffalo with them for the divisional round game in January. I went over the pond with them back in 2023 in London for the Tennessee game. It's incredible. And their trips include everything: round-trip airfare, premium hotel accommodations, airport and game day transportation, all-inclusive Ravens fan parties all weekend, all-inclusive purple tailgates, game tickets, special guests, and more. Green Bay, they're giving you an exclusive tour of Lambeau. Minnesota, you're going to have time at the Mall of America and an optional tour of Prince's house. Buffalo, you're going to have wings and a trip to Niagara Falls. Miami, you got Fort Lauderdale Beach and a booze cruise in October. What more could you want? Kansas City, they'll give you a tour of Arrowhead Stadium and Kansas City barbecue on top. Pittsburgh's got the Purple Pep Rally in enemy territory. Cleveland, they're going to give you a tour of the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, so on and so forth. It's great stuff. And again, Be More Around Town, Sarah. They're the spot to be. We got to get you on a road trip at some point in the future. That's got to happen.
We'll see. I would love to go with Be More Around Town. You just know that it's hard for me to get out of town without any kids.
Very much so. Down the line.
Maybe if my boys came, we'll see. Okay. So we went through. Are we good to go back to the schedule?
I think so.
Okay. So we went through the first 4 weeks. Okay. I feel like the other graphic was better. They're going horizontal. It's throwing off my mind. Okay. Sure. Yes, this one. Don't you think this is better? It's a little bit more clear. Okay. So we went through those first 4 weeks. Obviously, they can make a huge statement against last year's playoffs teams. Okay. This one will go through, how about all of October? So that's going to have 4 games plus the bye week. So we've got home against the Texans, home against the Rams, and then you have that week 7 bye week. Listen, that's not a terrible bye week, but it's also not my favorite. That's an early-ish bye week. I mean, after that, you got to go 10 games and then the playoffs. That's a little early for me.
Look, I just mentioned it. That's the earliest bye week that I can remember since I've been in the Lamar era. That's how long I've been covering the team.
I'm pretty sure since I've been covering the team, there was one either week 2 or 3. I'm trying to remember because of it might have been because of Hurricane Katrina. Like it was early. Like it was crazy early. It might have been week 3. But yeah, okay. So week 7 is the bye. Then you got another home game versus the Bears. So you're getting all those home games with the bye. So the bye isn't even in the middle of a bunch of road games. You got them in the middle of 3 home games. And then week 9 is that at Dolphins, which is as good as a home game for Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers and Javonte Wester. And who else am I missing? I don't know. So this middle stretch in October, Ravens got to stack some wins. You got to stack some wins with 3 home games and a bye. And then in Miami, where Lamar always plays well. How many like, I mean, not just wins, but just dominating them where you're scoring like 40 plus points. So
I'll never forget the first game of his first year as a full-time starter, 2019. He hung 59 on them.
Yeah.
59-10, they beat the Miami Dolphins in week 1 on the road in 2019. And maybe 59 is not the actual number that he was responsible for, because I'm pretty sure Snoop came in or whoever his backup was at the time.
Yeah.
But 59-10 was the final score. It's like seared in my brain. How can it not be?
Well, I know it was a big win, but good job. I did not remember 59-10. So any other thoughts on these October games?
You know, the late bye week was something last year that I remember from a knee-jerk reaction standpoint having some reservations on. But then it ended up benefiting them really well with the way the season ended up playing out, with the way that injuries ended up shaking out. And then what did they do after? They went undefeated down that stretch, locked up the division, still obviously had to go on the road after beating Pittsburgh in the wild card round, but it's set up for them nicely. I'll be very curious to see how that is right now, because you'd rather, if you look at the schedule right now, you'd rather actually have a late one like you did last year, given the way it's backloaded here,
right,
with both divisional opponents and on paper, formidable opponents. So the knee-jerk reaction is, oh, wow, even though it sucks to have such, quote unquote, sucks to have a bye week that late as it was last year, on paper, it would actually look better this year, just like it did last year.
It would be nice, and it's going to make you wonder, like there's always, assuming that Lamar Jackson is healthy and assuming that, they make the playoffs, there's always the question if they end up getting like a bye, right? Which they had in 2019 and then they had in 2023. They always ask, do you rest your starters or not? Say like in week 18, say like they have it wrapped up. Do you rest them or not? And it's like, well, they've been playing since week 8, so maybe you do. And then that if you were to get, the number 1 seed, then that first round bye might actually be nice this time around. Sometimes you feel like it's a curse, and other times, but when you have an earlier bye in week 7 in an 18-week brutal, violent sport, it could be much more welcomed than it has in the past. So
sure.
One other thing I'll say about this October stretch, I feel like the toughest game should be the Rams with Stafford and company. So, but to me, on paper, they should be able to win 3 of those 4 games, maybe more since you have a bye right there.
I was going to wrap up with a similar comment about the month of October. I view that as absolutely the toughest game. It's Sean McVay. It's Matthew Stafford. It's Devontae Adams, the newly acquired Devontae Adams. It's Puka Nacua. They have a tremendous roster, all 3 phases. They're well coached. They're disciplined. It literally took a Tylan Wallace walk-off to beat him a couple years ago at the bank. We all remember that. And so I view that as the one that you want to circle for the month of October. But certainly aside from that, on paper, which is always easy to say, in mid-May, it looks like you got 3 winnable games on top of the bye, sets you up nicely for the second half of the season.
Right. And I don't see necessarily any major trap games in this first week, or excuse me, in this first half of the schedule. Like sometimes you just have a gauntlet and then you have one that you're supposed to win. And so like, if they were to beat the Chiefs, maybe that Texans game, but Texas is not somebody that you sleep on. right? Not usually. And so I know they had a down year last year, but they've been good under Stroud. And so the Rams, that's not a trap game. You want to beat them. They're usually one of the NFC's best. Then the Bears, that could have been a trap game, but you're coming off a bye. And the Ravens have a really, really good record coming off of the bye. And then you're on Thursday Night Football with the Dolphins. And so there's no like obvious trap game to me. You don't have one early in the season, I don't think, against the Browns when they're a division rival and they upset you last year. So I feel like there's no like getting a big head in that first half of the season.
Sure.
Okay. Well, let's move on to November, which has 4 games. Vikings won't be easy, but we'll see. We'll see who JJ McCarthy is, right? So we'll see what their quarterback situation is. So we got Vikings, at Browns, home versus Jets. What are you going to have? Yeah, there's not a threat there with the Jets. And then it's the Bengals there on Thanksgiving night, which you know they're going to get up for. So I just don't know who the Vikings are going to be yet without a quarterback that we know.
Yeah, no, Sam Darnold obviously was a fantastic turnaround last year. He ends up going to Seattle, gets paid, deservedly so. And Minnesota essentially says, hey, we're not going to pay you. We're going to go with our rookie and reset. And we believe in JJ McCarthy. That's under the assumption that Aaron Rodgers doesn't end up there. But so for November, I look at this as one, from 1,000 feet up, there are 2 short week turnarounds. And that's obviously what happens in the midst of this schedule when you have Thursday games. And they have 2 Thursday games. One against the Miami Dolphins. It'll be a short week going into, so from Chicago into Miami last week of October. And then they'll turn around, Sarah, a month later and have a short week from a home game with the Jets. At least they don't have to travel on this short week.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll host the Bengals, as we've already mentioned, for Thanksgiving. So again, this to me feels like a winnable month. It feels like you got to get 3 or 4 in the month of November. And I would think that Cincinnati under a primetime lights, assuming that they're going to retool defensively, assuming that their offense is going to be as firepowered as ever, with their receivers now under contract and happy and paid, and Joe Burrow being back for more, that's always going to be a coin flip. And I wouldn't be surprised if they split that season series, even though they swept them last year, one of which was overtime, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, the Ravens got some good fortune going their way, but Trey Hendrickson, I'm sure he'll be playing for him. I highly doubt he's going to I don't know. Who knows? But I just don't think he's going to not play if they don't give him a new contract. But I don't know Trey Hendrickson, so we'll see.
Let's put it this way, though.
Yeah.
Just to wrap up that thought, October and November feels like a month where you got 1, 2, 3, 4. So 8 total games in the month of October and November.
Uh-huh.
You come out of there winning 6 or 7 of 8, and you give yourself a little margin for error when it comes to the front half and the top half and the bottom half of the schedule outside of the chunk of those weeks. And I think that's very possible of ripping off 6, 7 wins in those 8 games within those 2 months.
I was just about to say how there was no trap games in the first half of the season, but I think I see that Jets one. I see that Jets one being a trap game because you'll have just had, a division game at the Browns. And then you have another division game coming up on Thanksgiving, which is 4 days after the Jets. I could see them being kind of looking past the Jets and wanting to get to Bengals. And so you better not let those New York Jets come in here with a quarterback who who got benched last year in Pittsburgh for an older Russell Wilson. That one makes me nervous, of course, not the Bills week 1, and not that one. That one doesn't make me nervous. Even Chiefs I'm excited for, but that Jets 4 days before Thanksgiving against the Bengals, that one makes me nervous. You better take care of business.
We'll see what Justin Fields is all about in year 1. They're giving him the keys of the car for the Jets. That's what's going on in November. Flipping the calendar to December, which begins with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that's a home game. From there, it's at Cincy. From there, it's home against the Patriots. And then it's one of those TBDs, but we know it's going to be at Lambeau. Will it be in primetime fashion? What time will it be? We'll see. But that's how, and I'm assuming, by the way, Yeah. Packers has to be the final game of the month, right? Because there's only one game in January,
Yes.
typically, with the way the
Yes.
schedule works out.
Mhm.
So your thoughts on December?
Well, what's funny is I want to back up and include a little bit of November because, as expected in the way I think it should be, holy moly, AFC North division games, right? Starting from week 11 to week 18, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 AFC North games in 8 weeks. 5 of the final 8 games of the season is going to be AFC North. And including Bengals, Steelers, Bengals in what's 3 weeks technically, but with that Thursday nighter, actually that'll make it a little bit earlier. So, man, that's crazy. After you play Bengals in prime time, huge game, you got to turn around the next week and play the Steelers. But at least you'll have 10 days. It'll be like a mini bye in there.
I was going to say,
right?
you get the mini bye. So
You get the
while they
mini
have
bye.
2 short weeks, the mini bye comes after one of those, obviously. So
Yeah. But then,
and
but
it
it is
so
still
happens to
Bengals,
be-
Steelers, Bengals.
it is. But if you had to be backloaded like that, but you also knew there was going to be a mini buy somewhere sprinkled in there, you sure as heck would have slotted it where they did. So
Yep.
So that's that. Much like it's been in recent years, it's going to get really interesting down the stretch. On paper, you already know the AFC North, they're going to come to compete. These are going to be one-score games, you would think, at times. And there's going to be a lot of shuffling around for seeding and other implications down the stretch, including some cold weather environments in 17 and 18 in Green Bay, in Pittsburgh, December and January. Look out. And until they show, Sarah, they can consistently play in those months, in those environments, the questions will be there. They'll linger.
Well, what's funny to me is like in the Lamar Jackson era, December's been a great month.
Mm-hmm.
Like in 2023, he sealed up his MVP bid in the month of December. And then they had a torrid end in December last year. To your point earlier, talking about that bye, they lost to the Eagles, had the bye, and then in December they won out. So they've actually been good in December. They just have to carry it, into January playoffs. And they're going to go through a gauntlet. You have 3 of your last 4 games on the road. And so if you're going to go on another big run in the month of December for the 3rd year in a row, it's going to have to be on the road. But Bobby, that's the way the Ravens did well in the playoffs in the Joe Flacco era, is they were actually good on the road in the playoffs, So this is going to get them ready. I mean, Packers, we never know, but they seem like a playoff team to me. You got to play a playoff team in December, probably with high stakes, in cold weather. Pittsburgh's going to be cold. The wind, we know, swirls on what I still call Heinz Stadium.
Heinz Field. Yeah.
Heinz Field. It's, what is it now?
Acrisure.
There you go. Acrisure. But Heinz Field is what it will always be to me. And so, it'll be playoff football for sure. Depending on what happens at the quarterback position with the Steelers. I don't want to call them playoff football just yet.
Fair enough. That's your schedule. And we got a boatload of super chats in terms of instant reactions to this, making sense of it, maybe starting to put some fall planning together, maybe already booking flights. It's one of the best nights of the year that you can plan out, literally September through the first week of January, which is always awesome. Let's see. We left off with Richard. So Goke's calling a shot here, a channel member of ours. He says Stark's first interception versus Josh Allen, week 1, book it. That's exactly what Malachi
asked for. Yep.
He made it clear. JP Bugs for you.
Those first 6 weeks, holy crap. It does look easier on paper after the bye week. Open 4-2, and they're in great shape.
Dozy Dope, which game and players are you most excited to see?
Well, I'm most excited to see the new guys, right? I mean, obviously, you're always excited to see Lamar and Derrick. That's nice, but I'm very excited to see Malachi Starks. I'm very excited to see Mike Green. Very excited to see DeAndre Hopkins. Games, for sure. Bills and Chiefs. Bengals on Thanksgiving night. Those are probably my 3 that I'd be looking at. Dolphins. I would like another 59-10 smackdown or somewhere around there. What about you?
Yeah. It's hard to argue with any of those. I mean, Bills, Chiefs, and Packers to me are sort of the headliners. And then you already know there's going to be some great divisional games sprinkled in there as well. And a trip to Minnesota in the Dome. That'll be fun. What about you, Dozy? Mark Tipp writes, we have to beat the teams that we're supposed to beat this season. Cleveland, the Jets, New England, etc. Marcus Frazier, Sarah, for you.
14-3, 6-0 start to the season. Losses to Dolphins, Browns, and the annual end-of-year Steelers loss because we have locked up the number 1 seed.
Joe Jenkins.
I have a hard time them losing to Dolphins, though. I don't know about that.
They've done it before on a Thursday night, that's for sure. They did not have an answer to cover 0 that night. That's another thing that's seared into my brain. Joe says every game after the Vikings are open-air stadiums, the coldest time of the year. JP Bugs, another one.
Hot take, Trey Hendrickson traded before week 13.
Oh. Antoine Mastro, October 12th is my birthday. I need to go to that game.
If that would happen with Trey Hendrickson, by the way, they're not in playoff contention. If they're in playoff contention, they're not doing that.
Yeah. October 12th is the Rams home game, is what Antoine's referring to there. And not a fan.
I think we should try to schedule a Voltron meetup at least 1 game this season. I'm not in Bmore, but I'll fly out to the bank. But I fly out to the bank every year. Heck
yeah. What I say, Junior, a channel member says somebody come to the Vikes game to link up. Oh, you're out there. I forgot you're out there in Minnesota. Hell yeah. And Paul.
Ravens schedule release video is absolute cinema. Haven't seen it yet.
It was inspired by Severance, which is the most watched series in Apple TV Plus history. Severance has garnered a ton of different reaction and popularity. I have not watched it, obviously, and we can't play it for you just in terms of copyright purposes, but I'm sure it's great. They never miss with that. The graphic left a little bit to be desired this year, at least for streaming people. But the Ravens productions, when it comes to the video stuff, is absolutely next level. Goki, thank you, Goki, for giving me the pronunciation guide in there. I appreciate you updating that.
Yeah.
Goki writes, and this is for you, thoughts on the Bengals twice in 3 weeks. We mentioned it, but
yeah,
reiterate. You want to reiterate your thoughts? I mean, it's tight, but they got the mini bye week sprinkled in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost become something I expect from the NFL now, is just to put a bunch of division games back to back to back. It makes it super exciting. You're fighting for the division crown. I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
This is not a super chat, but it's worthy of one. A Vaultsgiving. Hopefully you'll join us for a Vaultsgiving coming up on Thanksgiving Thursday, Thanksgiving Eve, Thanksgiving evening. Ravens and Bengals, we'll be live for it. Looking forward to it. We'll celebrate Thanksgiving during the day, and we will be live at night. 4 primetime games right now. You better believe there'll be more when it's all said and done, and the super chats continue to fly in. Thank you, everybody, for your support tonight. We will give you, I guess, our win-loss predictions coming up in just a bit. I'm sure Sarah's grinding over that right now in her head.
I'm not yet.
G-Money88 for you.
G-Money88 says, why are all the big games, Chiefs, Bills, always away games? Hopefully we can win both for good playoff standing. Well, Bills were just at the Ravens in 2024.
Sunday night. It was a Sunday night game.
That was a Sunday night game? That was week
it was a Sunday or Monday night game last year.
It was prime time? Wasn't that like week 4 or something? It was early-ish.
It was the last week in September, and I want to say it was a Sunday night game, but maybe the chat will help us out.
That was a day game. But regardless, they were here. The Chiefs, I feel like, is something different. I feel like I read that they keep drawing each other as the number 1 seeds of their division, but Chiefs have the better record, so that makes the Ravens go there.
Gotcha.
I don't know if that's correct, though.
Sunday night, week 4 was Bills.
Okay,
Ravens
I got the week 4 right. You got the Sunday night right. Good job. See?
Olu writes,
Such a duo right here.
Well, it's amazing the things you remember. It really is. Olu writes 5 losses, win the North, big trophy in the bowl. I'm just going to go spoiler. I'm going 12-5 this year for the Ravens. Olu and I are lockstep.
How did you already do that? You just throwing out a number?
And to be honest with you, that's what I did last year. I'm going 12-5.
Okay.
I think that leaves room for a little bit of scuffling at times when it comes to figuring out what this defense is going to look like on the back end with a rookie. You have no idea who they're bringing in as a veteran, but there's a reason why veteran safeties at this point in the process are available. We expect them to bring somebody in the coming weeks. I suspect that they will split their season series with Cincinnati and maybe even Pittsburgh, especially if Aaron Rodgers is under center, just to get Dre Dog going. And so with all that in mind,
the Ravens are sweeping. Let's go.
With all that in mind, I think 12-5 is good enough to win the division. They will not be the number 1 overall seed. They will have a home game in the wild card round, much like they did last year. And then they will have to go on the road, Sarah, and right their wrongs from last January. That's what I think is going to happen. 12-5, book it for me.
Okay. So what seed is that for you? Wouldn't that be like the second or third seed at 12-5?
12-5 would put them at like.
That's not number 1.
2 or 3. No, it's definitely not number 1. It would be 2 or 3, somewhere around there. Maybe as low as 4, depending on the competition in the AFC, which we know is always stiff. You think about it once more. Asmodeus has another super chat here.
I got mine.
Okay. Well,
coming off yours.
Let me get this done. Richard said it was Sunday night on my birthday. That's right. He was in town. Wait, did you come in for that one, Richard? I can't remember.
I thought you were asking me because you started looking at me, but I'm sure you were looking at Richard too.
Richard came in for a number of them, and it was awesome to see him for the tailgates. But I can't remember if you were there for that one, Richard. And not a fan for you.
We need a prediction from the stash. Okay, I'm done. We just got one, 12-5.
Okay, Sarah. Okay. Drum roll. Drum roll.
I'm going to one-up you. I think it'll be 13-4. I think Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry and company and Marlon Humphrey, they've all mentioned it. They want the number 1 seed because they feel like they could have beat Buffalo at home. They should have beat Buffalo in Buffalo, but I will digress. Mark Andrews. And I think they want to come out hot. I think that they have the veteran savvy on both sides of the ball to be like, we cannot sleep on anybody. We want that number 1 seed. We want people coming to the bank. It's not crazy to think the Ravens could have the number 1 seed, given that they've gotten it twice in the last several years, 2019 and 2024 or 2023. Obviously, all of this is dependent on Lamar Jackson staying healthy. Lamar's out. All of this goes out the window. But if he's healthy, I see 13-4. And if they are able to beat one or more of these, powerhouses in the AFC with Buffalo and KC, they will absolutely wrap it up. I know that's exactly what they want. They want to, and I think the Ravens can start out hotter than both of those teams. Both of those teams have had more new pieces to come in. And so the Ravens are right there and ready to start hot. And it could be one of those situations. Hey, Buffalo was not put together in week 4. They were a much better competitor in the playoffs. And so I think the Ravens can take advantage of that early. So I think I'm predicting a number one AFC seed because I think that is exactly what they have their eye on. And they know the importance of getting that done from week 18 from week 1 to week 18.
Okay. Not a fan wants, he's just barking out orders now. He says, y'all got to tell us the games y'all think we losing.
Okay.
So let's pull this one up. And this is Paul Mancano's graphic right here. So I'll do it off the cuff. Obviously, I haven't thought about it.
Can you take not a fan off real quick? I just got to see week 9.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Is that the Dolphins game?
Week 9 is Dolphins.
Okay.
Yep. So, look, I had 12-5. You had 13-4. You need 4. I need 5.
Mm-hmm.
My 5, I'll go Chiefs. I will go Steelers and Bengals. I think they're going to split both of those season series. I'm going to go Detroit. And I'm going to go Packers. Those are my 5. 5 losses.
Okay.
How about you?
So you said Packers splitting with both Bengals and Steelers.
Yep.
Who do you have
Detroit
winning
and Kansas
the
City.
AFC North?
The Ravens.
Okay.
And then the other two were Detroit and Kansas City.
Okay. I've got 3. I need to find a fourth, but I have the Ravens winning 4 of their 6 AFC North games. And so, whether one of those is Bengals, maybe they accidentally drop one of the Browns, but then they sweep one other team. Shoot, maybe they sweep the Steelers. They don't have a quarterback, and I don't believe in Aaron Rodgers. So maybe they sweep the Steelers and drop 1 to Bengals and 1 to Browns. It's just this division's too hard to win more than that. So I have them winning 4-6. So that's 2 of my 4. I'll give you KC because I just think it's tough to do in Arrowhead. And then I gotta find a trap game. Something similar to the Jets. But there's always one game that you don't expect.
Well, I can assure you it's not going to be Chicago coming off the bye week. They're absolutely dominant coming off the bye. It's not going to be Chicago. I know the Bears got better. I know Ben Johnson's a wizard on paper as a head coach. It's not going to be Chicago. I see some people in the chat that are saying that's got to be the one. I just don't see that
one. Or I could see, I could see Jets or Vikings even, because again, we don't know who the Vikings are. And so if it ends up that McCarthy just isn't coming into his own yet, and people are thinking, oh, that should be a win. Maybe, with them 3 away games in a row. So I'll give it Vikings.
I got to tell you, I'm not in love with 2 of my 5. Okay.
Of your losses?
I'm not in love with Green Bay loss, and I'm not in love with the Detroit loss.
Are you switching it up?
No, but I'm just giving you an honorable mention.
You're giving me an honorable mention.
Not a fan. I'm giving not a fan an honorable mention because Sean McVay and the Rams are tough.
Yeah.
And that's going into the bye. They lost against Philly into the bye last year. Not that matters at all this year. But it's a tough stretch, first 6 weeks of the season. Very tough, matter of fact. And I could see that being a game that that McVay and the Rams just come in, even though they have to travel over from the West Coast. They have played the Ravens tough before. They've gotten better this offseason. I'll give that an honorable mention to my 5.
Okay. I think Rams is going to be tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. Not a fan. Appreciate you for racking our brains there. Liza says we have only 3 losses. Get the number 1 seed, beating Kansas City in the AFC Championship and going to the Super Bowl and win. Olu.
Does he mean Browns with the Brands? Yeah. Browns, Chiefs, Vikings, Steelers, and Dolphins. Those are his losses.
Looks like it. Thanks, Olu, for sharing. And let us know if you guys have your losses and your overall predictions. We'll pull up some on the screen. Hit us with it right now in the live chat. That'll give me a chance to tell you a little bit more about Be More Around Town, the exclusive sponsor of tonight's schedule release live stream. And if you guys are interested in going on the road with Be More, go to BeMoreAroundTown.com. Click on the link that we have included at the top of the show notes. There's also a link directly in the pinned comment right now. And right now they have purple road trip options for you. I just refreshed the screen. Have they updated it? Oh, let's go. Brian is incredible, man. His team has already updated. Is this correct?
It's not showing. You want to show that?
Oh, why the heck is it not showing?
StreamYard these days.
Of course it's not showing. Stand by. So Be More Around Town. Thank you for saying that. I definitely would not have noticed, and I would have been talking. But BeMoreAroundTown.com already looks to have everything updated. Yeah, everything's updated. Now, look, these dates aren't the days of the game, right? They're the day of departure, I think. So the 6th is the day before the 7th, which is the regular season opener. Bills, Ravens. So just keep that in mind with this. But right now, every single purple road trip is available, and they are accepting deposits right now. Round trip airfare, premium hotel accommodations for these trips, airport game day transportation, all-inclusive Ravens fan parties, all-inclusive purple tailgate, game tickets, special guests along the way, and every single away destination has some sort of wrinkle, like an exclusive tour of Lambeau in December, time at the Mall of America in Minnesota, and an optional tour of Prince's house. Buffalo, you're going to get a wing trip out of that. Niagara Falls. Miami in October. Fort Lauderdale Beach, a booze cruise. Kansas City is going to give you a tour of Arrowhead and Kansas City barbecue on top of it. Cleveland, tour of the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton. And I could go on and on and on. Right now, BeMoreAroundTown.com. Sarah, if you were a traveling fan and you didn't have little ones that you had to cater to at home,
I'd be all for this.
what's the one? Put yourself in those shoes of somebody that's got maybe some a little bit of supplemental income, wants to travel, loves to travel, and loves the Ravens. What's the one site that you're taking? And I'll put it back up on the screen for you.
Okay, you got it back up on the screen for me. Where would I want to travel? I got to tell you, I would love to go to Lambeau Field, but in week 17, I'm not trying to get something similar to the Buffalo plague that you came home with. Like, I seriously would get sick in that weather. I would get sick. So as much as I'd love to do it, if that were week 1, maybe I would say that.
I'm loving that you just leaned into the Buffalo plague label.
Let's see. Bills. I don't really need to go to Buffalo. Kansas City. Although we do have Niagara Falls right up the way. Kansas City. Miami could be fun. Halloween weekend, get a little sun. Yeah, I think it'd be a tie for me between the Chiefs, Kansas City. I would like to eat that barbecue. In Miami, just in the middle, just when November's coming, and I go get some sun in the middle of it all. But I that Packers one is tempting to me. What about you?
Yeah, for me, it's probably
Green Bay.
It's probably Green Bay and Miami. You get two different climates, two amazing environments, one incredible historical checkbox, with Lambeau, and then Miami just for the getaway. The funny part is, I'm definitely going to speak with Brian about this and get things situated and whatnot, but I think it'd be fun to go on the road a little bit this year, particularly given that I'll be in St. Pete and with easy access to Miami.
So you can go on as many games as you want with Be More Around Town?
It's usually up for conversation.
Okay, but you think you're going to do more than like one?
I think I gotta sit down with them.
Think about it.
Yeah. Well, we got to figure out a good schedule.
Game if you're already living in Florida.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There's definitely some chatter to be had, and I look forward to it.
All right. Well, we look forward to those announcements.
Thank you.
We should have a live stream announcing where Bobby Worldwide will be on the road.
Hey, there's a couple of great destinations there. I love a little bit of travel.
Wait, so they have the questions in the chat. Are you still going to be live for all the home games?
None of that's been discussed yet.
Okay.
So we will keep you updated on how my whole fall schedule looks. I have been just looking to get this move done and get to the month of June and really start to grind over some reflection and logistic planning for what makes most sense this fall.
All right.
Park Heights Profit's looking ahead. I'll tell you that. And he writes, just booked a room near Santa Clara for February 6th to the 9th. The flight's up next. I need the membership number update. And dare we go 20-0? Why not us? Let's get him his update because we mentioned this a minute ago and I never went back and got the update. So we started the show, Sarah, 25 channel Voltrons, official channel members out from 200. Kind of a cool early milestone, having rolled this thing out in March. And right now we are 21 out from 200. So we've gotten 4 new channel members. And
21 out, you say?
We are 21 channel members out from 200 Voltrons, which would be a cool early milestone.
What's also cool is that, like, it's like we're talking about 200 now, but like 2 days ago, in large part because of Park Heights Profit and Asmodeus and Daniel Rodriguez? They were just gifting things. Yep. They were gifting things like no other. Then some people just getting their own memberships. But we were like really hoping we could get to 150 by the end of the week. So we just blew past that. Yeah. And now we're only 21 away from 200. Oh,
literally.
Oh, he just did it. Sorry. Oh. Plug your ears. Sorry.
PHP just dropped a 20 spot, and that means we are one out. Park Heights Profit just put us in a position where somebody right now who's maybe been considering Sarah channel membership can just pull the trigger and get us to 200 because of this continued generosity from PHP, who not only is booked for Santa Clara and the Super Bowl in San Francisco next year, not only is he booked for Buffalo week 1, and not only has he given us 50 plus channel members
in the last 3 days or 2 days. I've lost track in the last 3 streams.
This dude, man, PHP, appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Man, and I love that we all have a nickname for him too. It's PHP now.
Goodness gracious. It is PHP in the building. Thank you.
Isn't that like a science term where you take what is that? The pH test?
Oh.
You know, when you have that piece of paper when you're in like middle school science and you dip it in to see like the color changes.
Is this chemistry stuff? Let's see.
PHP is a drug? What?
I just Googled it here. I don't know.
Soil levels. pH levels. See, I was right.
All right.
Look at everybody saying thank you to PHP.
I love that. I love that. Who is it? Bring him up.
All right.
If you could. And Jason just got us to 200. We are officially at 200 channel members in less than 2 months since we rolled this thing out. Chaz is on the receiving end. But Sarah, this is the one that did it. This is the 200 nugget. Well, really, PHP
did it.
But Jason technically did it.
He got the last one in.
In reality, PHP got us to the finish line. Jason actually stamped that thing official. So
we kind of fell over.
That's awesome.
PHP got us to the 1 yard line, and then this is like Derrick Henry got us from the 1 yard line to the 1 yard line. Okay, with a 98 run, and then we had to give Derrick Henry a breather at the 1 yard line because he just ran for 98 yards. So we let Justice Hill come in, and he brought it in from 1 yard out. Jason is Justice Hill in this instance.
It's like 87 yards to the house against the Bills on the first play from scrimmage, King Henry, and then an extra point to tack on after it. Like it's just Richard just said, hey, I'm getting involved in the party as well. 10 more memberships have just been gifted. Asmodeus Thanatos checking in, aka Richard, aka my wingman. This place is going off tonight.
Here we go. Rafiki. Thank you, PHP.
Man, Richard.
Green.
So just in the last few minutes, Sarah, Asmodeus.
Sorry, PCP is the drug you guys are thinking of, not PHP. Just amazing. To get it clear in
the gutter. Amazing. So Park Heights Profit gifted us 20. Jason says, hey, I'm going to get you to 200. And then Richard's like, screw it. We're going to start for 250. Let's do it. More super chats have come in as well. Bro Flacco for you.
Oh, man. I cannot get over this right now. Okay. Bro Flacco says, I could see the Texans finally sneaking in a win. Maybe. A division loss, probably the Bengals, and one of the games between Lions, Bills, or Chiefs for 14-3. What's the remind me of the Houston Texans head coach's name? DeMeco
Ryans.
DeMeco Ryans. I almost butchered that. Halfway did, actually.
Gotcha.
Remember, he was the one, and I sent this clip to Acho, who came on our show to talk about MVP, because he said that coaches, I can't remember what he said, that I can't remember what he said, but then DeMeco Ryans came out and said, oh, yeah, no, Lamar Jackson's the MVP. Because he was trying to act like coaches didn't think that. And DeMeco was like, yeah, no, Lamar's MVP. And he says that so confidently because he hasn't been able to stop Lamar Jackson yet every time they've played.
Oh, that's for sure. And if you needed, by the way, specific wording for how that sounded, I just so happen to know a guy, aka my files, because everything's perfectly coded and labeled. Here's DeMeco Ryans at the podium.
Is playing some of the best. He's definitely jumps off the tape as the best player I've seen this year. You talk about an MVP. He's definitely the MVP in my mind, just for what he's doing, not only run game wise, but throwing the football, the accuracy, the decision making. He's playing unbelievable ball right now. So it's going to be a really tough challenge for us this week.
Yeah, See,
you go.
there it is. There it is. But maybe to the super chat's point, maybe he'll finally break through because I'm sure he's been studying him all season. Wants to turn things around.
What I Say Junior says, come to Kansas City. I'm 2. He's away. I don't know what the back half of that means, but come to Kansas City, he's saying. Clinton Ganaway for you.
Real quick, chat's making me laugh really hard. But can we just add, this would be nice. This would be really nice because I've been hard on him all offseason. Can Mark Andrews get a little bit of his revenge game week 1? You know what I mean? Like, just let him
get him going.
Let's get him going. We've been hard at him, very hard on him, and I think deservedly so. But I'm here for redemption. I'm here for redemption game for Mark Andrews, but I also want Isaiah Likely to go off. Okay, Clinton Ganaway. He says, I know games aren't played on paper, but I'd give this roster a win against every other team. That said, 14-3 with record stats for Lamar. Let's go.
Record stats. Wow. Surpassing last year. That is going to be a friggin' tough task. Chucks Chris. Lamar is never losing to NFC teams this season. Has not often throughout his career, that's for sure.
True. I did not consider that with my Vikings loss.
Thank you for the orange banner, Chris. Gordon Chase throwing us $1.99. Brian McFarland becoming a channel member. That is not Brian McFarland, Ravens salary cap analyst, because he is BRI and this is BRY. Appreciate you, Brian. Thanks for being a part of our channel membership crew. Mike M.
He says, play the official release video, please. Chat says it's fire. We'll get caught at copyright, and then they will demonetize this entire live stream. I don't know. Can they take away all of Osmodius's and PHP's gifted memberships? I don't know, but I don't want to take that chance.
No,
we can't do it. We would love to.
Sorry, Mike. Their pockets are deep enough. JP Bugs says that he's gifting us a channel membership. So thank you, JP.
Giving is contagious.
It really is. And Samuel Moore became a Voltron. So we are well over 200 and counting to 250, which is awesome. Mark Tip says, I see them income tax checks done hit. LFG Voltrons. Mark Tip, a little bit of humor here. And we appreciate you guys for being with us. Please like the video on your way in. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And if you haven't yet, it's almost giveaway time. We won't be doing one of those random. It will be random, but it won't be. We have a system set up with Primary Residential Mortgage, aside from our usual like ticker countdown that we do for the hashtags. It was just easier to do it this way on the back end. But if you guys are just learning of tonight's giveaway and you want to enter in, please do so. You can go to the link that I will drop into the chat right now. You can also just go to PRMI Mid-Atlantic on Instagram. You see the screen share right now. The comment just was dropped into the live chat, so you can go to that link if you so choose. But enter in for your chance to win a $100 Fanatics gift card to Baltimore's team store. The instructions are super simple, but you do have to have, an Instagram account. So thanks to Primary Residential Mortgage, thanks to Fanatics, and thanks to all of you for participating. We hope that we wish you best luck.
How do they get chosen randomly over there?
PRMI is doing a random system.
Oh, they're doing it. Okay.
Because it's on their.
They know what they're doing.
Yeah, you have to use it within their comment section.
Yeah.
Or you have to use the hashtag within their comment section. And then we're going to figure it out in the back end there.
Okay.
And then I will be reaching out to the winner directly. So let's see. Oh, Ryan White wants to make sure that PHP gets a little bit of love. Let's take this one.
He says, yo, big thanks, Park Heights Profit.
Heck
2
yeah.
exclamation points.
Heck yeah. And Law So Serious. 10 teams have more primetime games than us for now. Again, for now. There are 2 games that could very well end up being significant for seeding, significant for competition purposes, other implications in week 17 and 18. It's at Green Bay and at Pittsburgh. So 4 right now, which is different than last year, Sarah, with 5 primetime and 1 standalone. But, that's fine. We'll see.
And to be honest with you, I love these 1 o'clock games.
Yeah.
From a workflow standpoint.
Of course. I'll say that till the cows come home. Well, we planned on doing 2 hours. We've hit the 2-hour mark.
We hit the 200 and 200 mark and then some. I think
Yes,
we're
we
close to
did.
like 215, I think.
In terms of
Channel members.
Voltrons. Yes.
Yep.
Yep. We're well over the 200 number, which is awesome. We want to thank Be More Around Town for the opportunity to partner up with them for a third consecutive year. And we cannot recommend it enough to consider going on the road with them. If you don't go on the road with them for a purple road trip, consider a tailgate experience. It's fantastic. You know, I've been doing these pregame shows with them for the last several years. I've been going on the road with them as well, and they are tremendous. So BeMoreAroundTown.com. You can place your deposit today, tonight. They also have Orioles-related items in there. They do Capitals trips for hockey. They do everything. So special thanks to Brian Snyder and his team for all the continued support, both of the Vault and the Bobby Baltimore side of things as well. Let's see. We also have a couple patrons as well. Justin Holt and Gordon C. Thank you both for believing in what we're building. This is your monthly shout out because of the love that you give us. Some of these guys, Sarah, are doubling up. They become patrons and Voltrons in the YouTube space. So the generosity really is felt. I know you and I feel it. We talk about it all the time. So,
all the time.
So thank you guys. Patreon.com/RavensVault podcast if you want to go check out that part of the membership. Anything else from you? This day began, and we'll probably talk about it more tomorrow. Maybe our pullout will be that. We'll have to. You and I will discuss that in a couple minutes here. But Derrick Henry's in Baltimore through 2027. That's the way this day began.
Mm-hmm.
When we think about the last 24 hours to go from our Darius Washington setback to the Derrick Henry extension to a schedule release, there's been a lot that's transpired over the last 24 plus hours.
Yes. Yeah. I was just about to say the same thing. It's just been a whirlwind. And I'm like, I think I'm taken aback by my own like optimism of like a number one seed. I can tell you, like coming into the show, like I wasn't like thinking about that, but like the more and more I thought about it, and the more I look at the schedule and the opportunities that are ahead, the lessons that I hope that they learned from last year, where they want to get out to an early start, the continuity on both sides of the ball. You know, they have time, as brutal as the Darius Washington news is, and it's more brutal for him than it is. I think it's more brutal for him than the Ravens. So, you know, much love and prayers to him. But the Ravens have both the time and already the number one draft pick and the options on the free agent market to hopefully, you know, patch that hole in the defense. Like I don't know. It like is again, as long as they stay healthy, which they've been the last 2 years, and this is why you hate to miss the windows. As long as they stay healthy, I just feel like they will. I feel like they'll win. They'll get that number one seed. It's totally within their reach. Obviously won't be easy. There will be surprises. There'll be twists and turns, but I am very excited for 2025, and it's starting to come into focus. That's what I love about schedule night is we've been starved for NFL football for so long. And now, you know, the draft is in the rearview mirror. You've got most of your free agents. Now you've got the schedule. We're going to be going OTAs coming up in the next several weeks, and then training camps here. And it's just like, it's all starting to feel like we're on the precipice of football again. And it could be really, really good football in Baltimore.
Well said. Ryan White, shout out. How fitting. Today is my 36th birthday. Happy birthday, Ryan. And thanks for the super chat. Park Heights Prophet, Sarah, with an orange banner. He's not done yet.
Jeez. PHP says, my last live until next Tuesday. I love how he knows his schedule already. $22 for number 22. The king is locked in, and so is the vault. Too early to stop the stream.
PHP, you're wild, man, in the best of ways. You are. I am so looking forward to hopefully getting you on the show at some point. Maybe it has to. You know, I tend to do weekly call-ins. So come on over to Bobby Baltimore channel for a little weekday call-in. I'd like to meet you in face-to-face.
I would love to know who PHP is.
Goodness gracious. 214 channel members, Sarah. It just populated on our analytics tab. So we are 214 in, and it looks like, I'm sure it hasn't populated yet because Got Time for Games just became a Voltron, becoming 215. Wow. So it looks like at the latter half of this week, Thursday and Friday, our new goal is indeed 250. So thank you, Got Time for Games. We appreciate all of you, PHP and everyone who participated in tonight's show, A special thank you to Be More Around Town for the opportunity to partner up. Go check them out. We cannot stress it enough how accommodating they are to be on the road with, to go to a home tailgate with. It's tremendous. And go enter yourself in because the winner is going to be announced here pretty shortly. PRMI Mid-Atlantic on Instagram. Get yourself involved for a $100 Fanatics gift card. After you.
I said, I want to know who he is. And he says, I am a man of mystery. LOL.
I love him even more.
Yeah, you're right. It kind of did make me love him even more.
he doesn't like that. To me is like the ultimate. Is like when they're like a millionaire donates some massive sum to a university and they do so anonymously. Like I just think that's such a classy. Just shows humility. I'll let you take this one from Sherry.
Sherry says, sorry, I'm texting my kids who all have questions before they go to bed.
Here, you get them taken
they
care
keep trying to come in here, but I just keep telling them to text me. Sherry says, Zach Orr has his groove. Defense is going to rock.
Rodney Dotson, let's go with a $9.99. Appreciate you, Rodney. Thank you all so much. What an awesome night. It's a really fun night. It's time to book flights now. Where am I going for this week's bye week in October? I got to tell you, Sarah, I love Europe in October. I really do.
Oh,
What's
that's
it gonna
right.
be?
You got to get your bye weekend.
And here's what I'm excited about this year. So whenever I go on a trip, and we do got to go because I actually overslept my alarm. I never set my alarm today.
Yeah.
I never set it because I was so exhausted last night. I missed my 6 a.m. What I love about this St. Pete setup is that a lot of my family can work remotely.
Yeah.
And when I go on the road, as I learned this off season, Tilly's got to be taken care of, obviously, which comes at a cost when you live alone and don't have any family in the city. So I spent a decent amount making sure Tilly was good. Of course, I would do that, making sure she's in good hands. This year, I have a feeling that with St. Pete being a thing, it's going to be a pretty easy pitch for me to hit the group message weeks out, months out from my respective, from my potential trips and being like, hey, I'll fly you down to St. Pete, or we'll split the airfare. You come stay at my place and I go, you watch Tilly in St. Pete. I kind of love it.
That sounds wonderful, actually. Wonderful.
Love it.
Bobby, I have a thought.
All right.
About a new segment we could do in the off season, but listen, we can't you and I could get super carried away with this. Super carried away. So we got to watch ourselves, and we may not be able to do it every day depending on our schedule. And then during the season, it might be too much because there's so much news. But I was watching some NFL programming today. I watched a lot of it. And they had a segment called One More Thing. I have no clue what the one more thing was because all it did was make me think about how we could do a one more thing. And it's just basically one story from our lives. Because I'm really upset that I never got that trash story until like 2 weeks later, thanks to Garnett West. I cannot believe I did not get that story. So one more thing can be on days where it's a little bit light and each of us have to bring a story. Like today, your story could have been that you overslept your alarm, right? And all that went into that. My one more thing could have been me and my boys doing, arm day workout, all that kind of stuff.
Done.
Or it's funny, whatever. So one more thing, and we're getting new super chats as we go. But I think that would be fun.
Done. And I think
we do have to be careful, you and I. We could be long-winded, you and I. So we got to be careful because we still want to get out. We got to get everything up.
I'm the king of long-winded content. I know that. I just know that. What would be a cool wrinkle to it? Of course, I'm up for that. What would be a cool wrinkle to it is if we allow over time the audience to kind of evolve the name of it. Like if there's something that really sticks that would be authentic.
You don't like one more thing?
Well, I do for starters.
You just trashed my name of the segment.
Well you're just taking it. I'm saying if it's
I did steal
authentic,
it. I'm joking with you. With you. I don't care what the name of the segment is.
Like if it's something that's authentic that people come up with, kind of like Voltrons, even though you and I all ultimately ended up vetoing the other
Yeah.
names. I think that'd be cool. It would make it like unique to us. So for sure. Okay. I look forward to that. Oh, this is hilarious. Brian Stansberry checking in. Brian and I share a wall. What's up, Brian? He's my next door neighbor.
Oh,
literally
really?
Right here. Yes, in
Wait,
Canton.
is that the neighbor who you like took care of like their dog while they had a baby or something?
Yes. Shout out
wow.
baby Jiraiya. He's a healthy baby boy. He's an awesome kid. Gosh, he's got curly hair. His eyes are wide open. He's a really cute kid. Gina next door as well. Gina, of course, gave birth to Jiraiya, and they're great next door neighbors. I'm gonna miss them for sure. But Brian says, "Take me to Europe with you, or I can watch Tilly." Yeah, I mean, hey, if he wants to return the favor and watch Tilly, no, just kidding. You can come with me, Brian, if you want. Richard, Sarah, checking in.
I volunteer myself, he says.
Hey, there we go. James Green, channel member. That Buffalo game is going in caps. That Buffalo game is going to set the tone of the season blowout.
Right.
And Ryan White, Sarah, all of our channel members are checking in with super chats.
Sarah got her Sunday Night Flowers season opener.
Love it. That's what you wanted. I think all of us wanted that. I mean, come on. Look, I'm just going to say this. My hope is to tag along with Brian and his crew several times this upcoming season. And all along, I have had plans to go back to Buffalo. I want revenge on the plague. And I'm going back for
I tell you what, Bobby, if you're out for 2 weeks again
in season,
in the beginning of the season, I'm not going to be happy with you.
That was brutal.
Now, this time, though, you're going in September, so it shouldn't be as cold. But you better have your hand warmers. You better have, listen, I have
hand warmers.
What? You're too good for hand warmers?
Buffalo in September?
You are not allowed to get sick for 2 weeks again. You need to take the precautionary needs. You can always not use them, but you should have them available.
I'm going to get suffocated in Buffalo.
Isn't this a night game?
It's a night game.
So it could still be cold. It may not be a blizzard.
It's going to be beautiful. Late September in Western New York, baby. Love it.
Right. Well, you got to take your hand sanitizer, the chat's saying.
Done.
And you have to sleep.
Yeah,
you can't only sleep 2 or 3 hours.
Well, that's problematic because I certainly didn't sleep during a divisional round game. But
seriously, when are you going to sleep? Because if you're up there for a night game week 1, and then I'm sure you and Be More Around Town is going to travel home the next day. We're going to have a live stream. You're going to try to do it from the bus again. I don't like this idea. Can I veto this?
Well, how about we just schedule things differently this time around so I don't have to be on a bus during our live stream? How about that? Oh, man.
All right, we'll talk about it later.
Good stuff.
I'm going to have to veto the trip. I'm going to have to call Brian at Be More Around Town.
Brian's going to be like, Sarah, it's part of the partnership. What are you talking about?
Wait, will he travel home the same dates from Kansas City? Because then I choose before you.
Well, I'm sure all of his is the day after, day of stuff, all day before. So there will have to be some changes this time around so that it doesn't, in all seriousness, we can't be doing live streams from a bus anymore unless it's emergency. So that was a tough scene there. But
I might just have to do one without you. That's the way it should be.
Oh, that maybe. That was
we got to stick to the noon.
Assuming things were like, if it was a better setup with Wi-Fi and stuff, it would have been a lot of. It was a lot of fun. Like the idea of being on a bus and going live with you was fun, but it's tough.
All right, but if you're going week 1, you're out for the live stream the next day because you need to sleep. I'm calling it now. Either you don't go, or you don't get to be a part of this live stream the next day.
Listen to the non-negotiables that are be thrown out there.
I got to put my mom hat on. I don't want you to get sick.
Man,
it was brutal.
It was brutal. It was 2 weeks of brutality, and then you just absolutely crushed it for us. So thank you. Sarah, look who's not done.
PHP, well, shoot. PHP is so generous, I might have to give in to him. He says, see you in Buffalo, Bobby. I will have a cigar for you and a beverage.
Oh,
and then could you get a selfie with Park Heights? Because I need to see who he is.
Mr. Mystery. There it is. NFL is all over it. The rematch, baby, of last year's divisional round. Thank you, Park Heights. I will definitely take you up on that if I end up going. I'm not chain linked down somewhere in St. Pete. Awesome. That's what we're working towards, Sarah. September 7th, regular season. Not finale, but what's the opposite of finale? It's too late.
Opener.
Opener.
Jeremiah W. says no more broadcasting on buses or bathrooms, please and thank you.
Oh, he's an OG. He was with me in the passport office in DC.
Yeah, that was awkward. That was awkward. I hated it. I wasn't even there, And I felt so scared that I was going to see somebody going to the bathroom. Or that you'd get in trouble because you're not supposed to have your phone open at the government building or whatever. Like, I was so nervous during that entire interaction with you. We can't do that anymore.
Hey, that's so funny that Jeremiah had that because, yeah, that was I was getting my passport expedited for the bye week because I missed my trip to Scandinavia.
That's right.
That's insane. That's insane. I love it. I'm literally in the DC State Department in a basement bathroom. Definitely was not supposed to be on that phone. Ryan White says PHP may actually be John Wick.
We should actually have a segment called PHP now. I don't
Maybe.
know what it's going to be, but we'll figure it out. We're creative people.
He's vying for it. And Joy wants one thing and one thing only on the way out.
How's one woof thing, Sarah?
Oh, way to give the people what they want. Appreciate you, everybody. Awesome evening. Thank you so much for spending part of your nights with us. We will be back in our normal format, of course, tomorrow, 12 noon Eastern. You guys know the drill. Be on the lookout for all of our best of content, as well as a video dropping tomorrow morning, courtesy of our guy, Brendan, who's been doing fantastic editing for us on the back end. Go enter yourself in.
Joy just wanted to make sure that we understood that was in place of one more thing. It's one woof thing instead of one more thing. I got that, but I don't know if you got it.
No, I didn't. Thank you. That's hilarious.
Yeah, most jokes go over my head, but I did get that one.
I just honestly glossed over it because I thought it was like, hey, how about one woof thing, like one more type thing. It's time to go, people. It is time to go. Femi's been in the chat. Shout out Fem. Shout out all of you. Over 4,400 concurrents right now. Please like the video on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Hit that notification bell. Some of you guys ask for ways to donate to the channel outside of the YouTube space. You can always do that through Venmo. That is the handle at Ravens Vault Podcast. Sarah can be found at SG Ellison on X. I can be found on both Twitter and Instagram at Bobby Baltimore. The second O is a 0. You can click join on your way out to become a Vault channel member today. You can email us at BaltimoreRavensVault@gmail.com. You can support us by supporting our brand sponsors. Tonight's is Be More Around Town. Go check them out by clicking on the link that we have as a pinned comment. You can join the Vault Patreon community in our show notes. I'm just ripping through everything that we have for you. And I think that just about does it, partner. Great stuff. I'll catch up with you tomorrow.
Sounds good. See you in less than 12 hours.
Absolutely.
No,
appreciate you guys.
24. Sorry.
Good.
A little bit more than 12. I can do math.
Good. I need a little bit more than 12. Thank you all. Appreciate you. Thanks to Be More Around Town. For Sarah, I'm Bobby signing off from this scheduled release live stream special. We'll see you tomorrow. It's Thursday, 12 noon Eastern, right here inside the Vault. Talk to you then.